Guy. You kind of person, to be honest. I'm a little worried. There is no standpoint, it's just like a wall. Miller didn't believe Guy saw, and said, but it's okay to give you a chance, but well. Miller glanced at Luo. This kid was also clever, and immediately released Op Fruit's room space. Abattoir. Luo casually slashed, Guy's chest was torn open, and his heart flew out directly. It fell into Miller's hands accurately. Guy stared blankly, only to come to his senses after a while, crying and crying, wow. That's the heart of this uncle. It's fine if you understand. Miller squeezed lightly, and Guy was sweating profusely. I will definitely obey Master Miller's orders in peace. Guy shivered with fright and didn't have the courage to resist Miller. Trash. Monet yelled. What would happen if he surrendered, not because he lost hearts, and Miller was a dog from now on. What Monet didn't know was that Guy was eager to join the Miller pirates. In this way, Doflamingo should take time to get revenge on himself in the future. Let her go. Miller glanced at Guy Saw. This kid immediately obedient, went up to unlock Monet's shackles. The seastone handcuffs fell to the ground, and the woman quickly recovered her strength, and her wings stirred hard and rose into the sky. To escape? Miller snapped his fingers and shot out electric lights. Boom boom. A ball of thunder and lightning exploded on Monet, she screamed several times, and her blood surged. A pair of wings was broken ruthlessly. Luo looked at this scene indifferently. Everyone in the Donquixote family deserves no sympathy. Go and find a young man with potential. Still the same, transfer the ability to his own person, and then let the little brother attack him, so that Miller will gain the ability of Snowfruit. Do it, Guy. Miller looked at Guy. This kid had a bright head, knew what Miller meant, and came up to give Miller a punch. Guy, who is capable of gas fruit, has finished testing. The sound of the system rang in his mind, and Miller quickly copied the gas fruit that Guy had scattered. A few minutes later, he took Monet's Snowfruit again. The woman finally died tragically. She was a fan of Doflamingo and didn't want to give in. Miller did not rush to Dressrosa in a hurry. In his opinion, Doflamingo could not run unless he wanted to give up Dressrosa. He visited Guy's experimental base, not only the research of man-made devil fruit. Guy also studied various killing weapons according to Doflamingo's orders. The poisonous gas weapon, Koro, is Guy's masterpiece. You can study with confidence. It's best to do more research. Miller unexpectedly supported Guy Saw. Really? Guy is excited. If Miller lets him fight with others, forget it. Although his reward is also 300 million Baileys, fighting is really not Guy's strong point. That's for sure. Wouldn't it be great to use this to deal with celestial dragons in the future? Miller's words frightened Guy, so his legs were weak, and he wanted to use this to deal with celestial dragons. Okay, you just stay here for me to continue studying. Miller didn't intend to take Guy Saw, nor was he afraid of this kid playing tricks, who would let his heart still be in his hands. After half an hour, Miller left Punk Hazard. The next stop is Dressrosa. In Dressrosa's direction, Monet's life card was burned out again, which showed that she was also killed. Doflamingo's heart fell into a trough. This is the pawn he placed next to Guy. Guy doesn't have the courage to kill, which means that the murderer is Miller. In the palace, Doflamingo convened a meeting of many members of the family. Next, it was time for the life and death of the family. All the cadres are here, but one person is missing: Violet. That damn woman must have rebelled. Diamante slapped the table angrily. The faces of the others were not very good looking. As the saying goes, the catastrophe is about to fly each other, not to mention that the woman Violet is not a hardcore direct family member. When Doflamingo captured Dressrosa, Violet had no choice but to join the Donquixote family. Her real name was Violet, the daughter of King Liku. Forget it, I didn't expect that guy to join us. Doflamingo doesn't want to entangle this issue either. In short, Beast's Pirates reinforcements are on the way. Today I just want to tell everyone not to panic. Beast's Pirates. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard, 4 emperors versus 4 emperors, they must still be cold. After learning that the Donquixote family was in crisis, Violet took the opportunity to escape Dressrosa. A small boat floated on the sea, it was to Punk Hazard. If the information I control can be passed to the Miller pirates, after they defeat Doflamingo, they might be able to return the throne to the Liku royal family. The girl on the boat is Violet. She is a Paramecia who can see things within a radius of 4,000 kilometers. Doflamingo was also fancy Violet's ability at the time, and forced her to join the Donquixote family. Almost coming soon. Through the powerful observation of staring fruit, Violet discovered the fleet in the distance and the ark's proverbs wandering in the sky. After half an hour, the ark's proverbs shuttled all the way, and they were like the overlords of the sky, wandering freely in the sky. Miller hugs left and right. His left is Nico Robin, his right is Khalifa, and there are many young girls in the pool in the middle. Master Miller, come down and play. Master Miller, you are the only one missing. Today we prepared a very fun game. The girls winked at Miller one after another. Miller laughed. This is life. But, boom. At this moment, the mutation suddenly changed, and a violent roar suddenly came from the sea. Miller's face suddenly turned black. Who is so indifferent? Boom. Then another shell blasted up, Ark's proverbs trembled, and Miller's eyes shone coldly. He drew his big hand at the sky, and thunder and lightning poured in from the sky. Slap. The endless thunder and lightning condensed on hand, and Miller was about to kill the offended bastard when there was a sound from the sea below. Master Miller, I am the Violet of the Donquixote family. I have important information to tell you. Violet yelled, waving his arms. Miller frowned when he heard that. Donquixote family does have such a number one person. She seemed to be the princess of the original Dressrosa royal family. After a moment of contemplation, the thunder and lightning on her hand suddenly went out. Miller's big hand turned to emit a strong darkness, and he looked at the quasi-violet and shouted, "Dark water." The majestic gravitation burst from the palm of the palm, and the violet was like a balloon. With a slight pull, Miller easily grabbed it into the sky. Oh my God! Violet exclaimed again and again. The wind hit, the skirt was flying, and she subconsciously covered the skirt. But the hair is useless. Damn it, purple, blue and black, 3 colors. It tastes weird and unique. Miller still saw it, and had weird thoughts about Violet in his mind. In the blink of an eye, Violet was sent to the Ark Proverbs by Miller. A hole was made in his boat. Miller naturally didn't look good. Little girl, you are so bold. Violet responded awkwardly, sorry, I was also forced by helplessness. I really enjoy it. After stepping on the Ark's motto, Violet had an idea, the Sky Garden. The entire spacecraft was remodeled by Frankie, and it was several times the size of the original Ark's Proverbs. It not only had a swimming pool, but also a small garden, and even moved onto a rockery. The most exaggerated is that there is also a water park with a Ferris wheel and various luxurious palaces. Violet is indeed shocked. In her eyes, Doflamingo is the type that is extremely extravagant, but now Miller's contrast is simply a turtle. This guy will enjoy more than any pirate. Hey. Don't be in a daze. Even if you are here to send information, I don't forgive you for hurting my baby spaceship. What do you think I should do with you? Miller looked at Violet thiefly, bulging forward and back, and he was really in good shape. I have information to give you, but I am afraid that you did not discover my existence. Violet lowered his head and preached humbly. This cannot be used as a reason. Miller shook his head. My ship was shot by you. It will take about 5 billion Baileys to repair it to recover. 5 billion Baileys? Don't be kidding me. Violet's eyes burst. The sum of all the bounty offenders in the Donquixote family is less than 5 billion Baileys. But, it's not easy to see that you are a woman. You can work on this ship for 10 years. Miller said shamelessly, I will naturally let you go. Violet smiled bitterly when he heard the words. Who doesn't know what kind of virtue Miller is? After all, he just wants to stay for himself, right? As you wish. Violet was also refreshing, and agreed to Miller's terms. Ha. You are very good, Violet, much better than that stupid woman named Monet. Although I admire loyal people, but must be loyal to me, it is too bad for others. Miller smoked a cigar and swallowed the clouds comfortably. Now you can tell your own information. Doflamingo asked for help from the Kaido pirates. He also prepared a large number of killing weapons in Dressrosa, all of which were studied by Guy. They are extremely lethal. You must be careful. Violet solemnly preached. In addition, I heard that CP0 has also been dispatched. Kaido pirates? A strong look of greed swept across Miller's face. Is Kaido here in person? No, it's his subordinates. Violet explained. But it's still not as good as underestimated, their strength is. So it wasn't Kaido. Miller interrupted Violet, and his enthusiasm dropped by half. You seem disappointed. Violet's face froze. That's not the case. I was thinking about copying Kaido and Andy together. Miller said frankly, if that guy doesn't come, I will attack Wano Kuni another day. It's too much trouble. Violet's mouth squirmed twice, and finally he was silent. Well, she couldn't understand the world of the strong. Correct. Miller's eyes were fixed on Violet, and he asked, "You seem to be a Paramecia-capable person. What is your name? You seem to stare at the fruit, right?" "Exactly." Violet nodded, and she also understood what Miller meant. Boom. The fist stretched straight out and hit Miller's shoulder. Paramecia stares at the fruit-powered Violet. Now we are ready to copy. The sound of the system resounded through his mind, and within 10 seconds, Miller got the stare fruit. Compared with the ability to detect, there is nothing devil fruit is better than staring fruit. After obtaining the staring fruit, Miller immediately used this ability, and the sights thousands of kilometers away were all in sight. Even in the blue sky, he could see the situation of Punk Hazard. Miller turned his head and swept away, looking in Dressrosa's direction. The expression on his face instantly solidified, and the next moment, his whole body exploded with a rumble, and a large amount of thunder and lightning poured into the energy chamber. The tail wing of the Arc Proverbs part of the flames disappeared with a swish, and drove towards Dressrosa as quickly as possible. "Young master, didn't you say you have to wait for Beast's pirates' support? Why did you suddenly retreat?" Dressrosa's palace. Half an hour ago, Doflamingo gave the order to retreat. Donquixote family will abandon Dressrosa, which has been stationed for nearly 10 years. Huh. Lousy gets angry when it comes to this. Doflamingo's face was full of blue veins, and he roared in anger. "I thought it was the 3 plagues who came here together. In that case, maybe he could still hold the Miller pirates. In the end, Jack came alone and let that guys die with us. Lousy doesn't need him to die. Hurry up and pack things and retreat to me." That's right. Doflamingo is going to retreat. He plans to abandon Dressrosa, because it can't be kept here. Sending Jack over, isn't it just to give Miller warmth? Nothing can be changed at all. "Young master, we can work hard here for many years." Staring at the bustling Dressrosa, some people are full of strong unwillingness. Even some members of the family have regarded Dressrosa as a writer's garden. Now let them leave their hometown. Everyone is extremely complicated and reluctant. Looking back on the past, it was the Donquixote family who chased and killed others to the ends of the world, and now it fell to myself. This feeling. Too uncomfortable. Don't forget about it here, we can build a stronger territory in the future. Doflamingo yelled, but he was actually lost in his heart. After all, too much effort was spent on Dressrosa. But, what Lousy can't get, Miller, do you think you can get it yourself? Doflamingo's head is full of veins. He is not such a kind person, giving Miller the great foundation of Dressrosa. There are no doors. After retreating, the large number of murderous weapons he buried here will explode. By then, Dressrosa will all become ruins. The members of the Donquixote family left Dressrosa widely, which made the local residents unclear what happened. At least during the years of Doflamingo's reign, Dressrosa was still quiet and peaceful, and free, and even has such a reputation as the kingdom of love and passion. Wong. Why are you leaving us? Some hardcore supporters of Doflamingo ran to the pier crying. Because your king is dying. There was a cold voice from the depths of the sky, followed by thousands of thunder and lightning. The sky was still clear, and the sun was covered by dark clouds in an instant, and all the natural elements burst in. The sea near Dressrosa instantly froze, and the ground cracked open for no apparent reason and boiling magma poured out. On the side of the pier, there is still a sandstorm raging, constantly harvesting the lives of members of the Donquixote family. Thunder fruit, frozen fruit, lava fruit, and sand fruit. Doflamingo has dealt with these people, and understands the abilities of Akainu, Aokiji and others. The appearance of so many abilities can only show that the guy is here. God's sanction. A beam of thunder and lightning was projected into the dark clouds in the sky, accurately shining on the Doflamingo battleship. Quickly retreat. Doflamingo immediately shouted and jumped off the battleship first. Boom. In the next moment, a devastating thunder and lightning fell from the sky, shattering the battleship. Some people were directly bombed into the sky, and their bodies were severely scorched, and they didn't even have the time to react. Only a few people avoided the deadly attack. Damn it. Doflamingo gritted his teeth, and there were many cadres who were killed. He looked up at the sky. After the lightning was launched, the dark clouds disappeared, and a spaceship flying across the sky also appeared. Sure enough, it's you, Miller the Duplicator. Doflamingo recognized the Arc Proverbs at a glance, and there is only this one in the entire world, right? What are you doing so loudly? You don't miss me, Doflamingo. The Arc's Proverbs is still floating in the sky, and the space in front of Doflamingo is shaking slightly. The circular door also opened, and the door fruit was very convenient. Miller poked his head out of it, and the corners of his lips raised, always in a cynical arc. But it's a pity, I only like sexy girls. Why go with Dressrosa? Doflamingo asked with a distorted face, which was what he was most puzzled by. Isn't you low enough? The subordinate was killed by Miller. Not only did he not be held accountable, he even sent a large number of artificial devil fruit and girls. The results of it. This guy still had to make an inch of it, killed Toripal, snatched Guy Saw, and currently hit Dressrosa. Doflamingo can't wait to tear Miller to pieces, and Kaido's his mother is not so difficult to serve. You can't blame me, in fact, you hate celestial dragons to be frank, and I am the same. We can get together, but... Miller changed the conversation. I promised Luo and gave him the chance to slash you. Luo. Trafalgar Law. When Doflamingo heard that his entire face was dark, he wondered why Miller didn't let him go. It turned out that this guy was blowing pillow breeze behind his back. You know the reason now, so let's get tortured. Miller strode towards Doflamingo with his head high. The kid obviously didn't want to wait for him to be killed. Armament Hockey covered his fist and killed him. He was as fast as lightning, and instantly rushed in front of Miller, slamming his fist straight at Miller's head. Miller frowned. Was this kid driven crazy, giving away his ability? Boom. A heavy punch hit Miller's forehead, and he stabilized his body just by taking a few steps back. So hard. This is the only thought in Doflamingo's mind. String Fruit and Conqueror's Hockey owner Doflamingo has been captured. Now expand the copy. 1%, 50%, 100. Copy is complete. Congratulations to the host for obtaining String Fruit and Conqueror's Hockey. The voice of the system rang in his head. Miller rubbed his head, then his thumb straightened. Bullet string. The thin line shoots out like a bullet. This is Doflamingo's String Fruit. Doflamingo drew sideways, and the thin thread passed in front of him, and then dozens of thin threads poured out from his palm, condensing like a twist. Superstrike the whip. Miller grabbed it directly with his big hand. Boom. He slammed a long whip into Miller's palm, powerful enough to cut off the mountain, but there was no wave on his face. The light on Miller's palm caught Doflamingo's attention, and he took a closer look at the diamond. No wonder the defense is so strong, that should be Diamond Joe's ability. Doflamingo thought to himself. Get here. Miller screamed. He pulled the line in his hand hard, and Doflamingo on the other side flew straight over. Snap it. Miller released his violent abilities, waiting for Doflamingo to throw himself into the net. Doflamingo condenses a lot of thin lines all over his body, protecting himself like an armor. Armed. For fear that he couldn't help it, the white line spreading over his body immediately covered Armament Hockey. Boom. The moment he hit Miller, Doflamingo spewed old blood on the spot, feeling that his forehead was about to split. The lightning of hundreds of millions of volts engulfed him directly, and the thin thread covering his body instantly melted. Doflamingo screamed again and again. Even though the defense built up offset most of the power of lightning, some of it bombarded him, and the body burst into smoke for the first time. Kick at the speed of light. A heavy kick hit Doflamingo's abdomen, his whole body sank, the heat burned through his skin, and the guy was trembling with pain. Miller flicked hard and Doflamingo flew out. Several buildings were smashed, bang boom boom boom, one after another. Rumble. Under the ruins, a powerful and domineering atmosphere spread, and dark red lightning exploded in the air. Miller raised his brows. Conqueror's Hockey. As everyone knows, this is just the beginning. With the place where Doflamingo lay as the center, the earth begins to line up. The land, buildings, trees, and streets all turned into lines at this moment. Taste the fruit of lousy awakening. Doflamingo dragged his tired body to the sky, his arms were raised violently, and the ground suddenly began to shake. A huge string with a width of more than 10 meters rose from the ground, twisting and killing like a giant python. Miller raised his arm lightly and struck out with a heavy punch, Dark Hound. The fiery magma fist flew out, and the lines covering the earth burned directly. Boom. A dull explosion exploded, and the fluffy disconnected thread was flying all over the sky, and the thread pillar had disappeared. When Doflamingo saw this, he roared, "One can't do 10 together." Boom boom boom. The earth trembled one after another, and as many as 10 strands of thread rose from the ground, strangling Miller from different directions. He shook his head to see if there were any new tricks. Miller squatted down and touched the ground with one hand, the cold wafting from his body. Ice Age. With Miller as the center, the ground quickly froze and opened, and a radius of 100 meters was directly frozen into ice. The 10 strands were also frozen in midair, and the front part was condensed into a spear, still in an attacking posture. Actually, if Miller thought about it, it wouldn't matter to freeze the entire Dressrosa. 16 rounds of sacred fierce bullets, slaying by gods. Above the sky, there was a thunderous shout of Doflamingo. Miller looked up, and as many as 16 thick lines covering armament hockey fell. He felt boring at once. Doflamingo's tricks came and went all the same, condensing the lines into a ball to increase power, and then adding an overarmed attack. Rumble. At the same time, the 16 strands landed at the same time, the earthquake trembling, and ice scum splashing everywhere. Even if you can't hurt that guy, at least you can take time. Doflamingo panted and was tortured by Miller, then released a series of attacks, panting with exhaustion. Snap it. There was a sharp sound in the air. Doflamingo suddenly raised his head, only to see the sky darkened again. Dark clouds covered the sky, and thunder and lightning gathered again. In the shattered earth, Miller walked out intact, and there was an emerald-colored barrier on his body. It was Doflamingo's full blow just now, but there was still no defense that penetrated the barrier fruit. 60 million volts Thunder Dragon. The thunder and lightning that condensed in the void turned into a thunder dragon that was several feet long and fell, and Doflamingo quickly opened his slap, spider's web. The eruption line in the hand condenses into a large net to prevent insurance. Doflamingo covers armament hockey again, and the black large net looks very strong. Boom. The thunder dragon landed, and the accompanying high temperature burned the black net into red, and immediately exploded with a bang, shaking the earth, and Ultimate's thunder and fire annihilated everything. Doflamingo's painstakingly constructed defense was still blown to pieces. Although the thunder and lightning did not hit him head-on, the burst of shock still lifted Doflamingo. Fool. It's weird to be able to block it. Miller pressed harder and harder. The Doflamingo on the ground, like a dead dog, was no longer a human being. But even so, the strong-willed man stood up. Don't fight, I won't kill you, Miller said suddenly. Doflamingo's pupils shrank. Are you willing to let me go? By now, Doflamingo has been beaten to lose his temper, and 4 emperors are 4 emperors. All said, I want Luo Shou to kill you. Miller spread his hands and said. Cough cough cough. Doflamingo spat out blood, and his eyes are covered with bloodshot eyes. What benefit did that guy give you? What he can give you, I will give you twice. Miller's face is still cold. The fact that Luo gave him is very simple, just a copy of Op fruit. Kill you. Everything about you is not mine yet, Miller said flatly. 000. His fingertips condensed a faint golden light, and his fingers aimed at Doflamingo like a sniper rifle. The latter quickly stepped away. This is Kizaru's sparkling fruit. Doflamingo just moved away, and when he moved again, his feet seemed to be filled with lead and he couldn't move. He looked down, and his feet were grabbed by several big hands. How much power does this damn guy have? Doflamingo snarled madly. Laser. Doflamingo, who couldn't escape with the flash of light, could only use the armed color to defend. Pouch. The blood flew out of the body, and there was still a thumb-sized hole in his chest. It's not that Doflamingo is armed and incapable. In the attack just now, not only the power of sparkling fruit, but also the power of thunder fruit. Entering the new world, in order to prevent accidents, Miller also appropriately selected some powerful devil fruit to merge or develop some of its abilities. Both thunder fruit and flash fruit are the focus of research. Puff. His chest was pierced, and Doflamingo knelt on the ground weakly. Although avoiding the critical point, the current rushed into the body along the gap, and Doflamingo was violently paralyzed, and at this moment he didn't even have the strength to walk. Doflamingo fell down, his body pressed to the ground, and his defeat was very complete. Only this moment was the most relaxing and comfortable. Every second of the battle with Miller, he had to tighten his nerves, concentrate highly, and was too tired. If you lose, you will naturally be relieved, little lord. The cadres of the Donquixote family, like wild cats smelling the fishy smell, came to support them one after another. Ice Age. The cold air under my feet swelled away, the sound of caw was constantly fluctuating, and under the shining of the sun, there were a few more ice sculptures running on the ground. The worried look on their faces can be vaguely seen. Unexpectedly, a cold-blooded guy like you is quite popular with your subordinates. Miller was a little surprised. Since my parents and Krasen left, the crew members have been my family, cough cough cough. They are all my younger brothers and sisters. Doflamingo coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood, and then his face was full of grimness. Only Luo, I can't forgive. That's a coincidence, that guy can't forgive you either. Miller patted the dust on his butt and returned to Arc Proverbs. The news of Miller's arrival at Dressrosa spread quickly, and Marine soon received information. After learning that Doflamingo was defeated, the new Marshal Akainu was furious. I just promoted 2 Shichibukai to come up, but that guy killed another one. New naval headquarters, Akainu patted the table angrily. Sakazuki, don't worry about that guy. What about that old man? Kizaru sat on the sofa and cut his nails. After the SSG unit is finished, just leave it to them to deal with Miller. You mean Teacher Zephyr? Akainu's only remaining eye is uncommonly complicated. But it dissipated in just an instant. Even if he was our teacher before, there is no other way. Once he does something unfavorable to Marine, let's wipe it out. Akainu said blankly. In my opinion, let's cancel the Shichibukai system. The replacement rate is much faster than our selection. The new Admiral Fujitora interjected. Maybe Miller will kill a few more in a few days, instead of letting it go. They are embarrassed, it is better to dissolve, and it is ashamed of the province. Always serious, he even started to drink tea and eat senbei. If Garp sees it, he will have a big trouble. He brought both senbei and green tea. Smile. How do I feel that you were gloating there? Akainu gave Fujitora a sharp glance, and there was such a big riot. Is this bastard still in the mood to drink tea and eat? Sakazuki, it's useless for you to stare at the old man. I'm blind, ha ha ha. Fujitora went too far this time and just laughed. The blind man still knows that the marshal is staring at you there? The green bull on the side was speechless, and immediately echoed. Speaking of which, we found a few Shichibukai on the front foot, and Miller killed one on the back foot. This is not a problem. At present, Shichibukai's combat power is indispensable, and they play a positive role in maintaining the stability of the sea. Akainu still leans towards the Shichibukai system. This group of villains can help Marine save a lot of combat power. What about Doflamingo's defeat? Kizaru asked, looking at Akainu. I can't hide it. What else can I do? The old rules, announce it to the world. Let 5 elders see how vulnerable the Shichibukai they selected. Akainu laughed, and according to the information from Dressrosa, Miller solved the Donquixote family alone, and Doflamingo lasted a few minutes. Doflamingo was defeated, and this news spread all over the world in the shortest time. The world exclaimed, and another Shichibukai fell at Miller's feet. How many people is this? Crocodile, Gecko Moria, and now Doflamingo. Boa Hancock had also been tamed by him before. Miller almost destroyed the entire Shichibukai organization alone. Miller's bounty has increased again, but he is already in the 4 emperors, and the bounty can't be as if Yang suddenly soared hundreds of millions or even billions of Baileys before. Damn, is this guy Doflamingo so worthless? Miller had already lived in Dressrosa's palace, and he was speechless looking at the latest reward order. Originally, he offered a reward of 4 billion, but Doflamingo is also a Shichibukai, maybe 1 or 2 billion. But after knocking this guy out, Miller only offered a reward of 4.1 billion Baileys. Doflamingo, are you also very dissatisfied that you are only worth 15 million Baileys? How can there be such a cheap Shichibukai? Miller pointed to his reward order and questioned Doflamingo, who had been tied up by Seastone. Doflamingo twitched the corner of his mouth and did not respond. The loser was speechless, and there was nothing to say. You didn't think you would end up like this, did you? Violet bit her lower lip and was revenged. Her beautiful eyes were a little ruddy. Joining the Donquixote family over the years, who knows how many blows she has endured. Killing me will not do you any good. Doflamingo didn't bother to pay attention to Violet, looking straight at Miller. I also hate the world ruled by celestial dragons. Haha, Miller smiled contemptuously. One less you or one more you are not a threat to celestial dragons. I can't, but the secret in my hand can shake the world. Doflamingo's pupils shot out a terrifying light. I know the secret of that Marie Joy's great national treasure. You finally said something that interests me. Miller is also not willing to talk nonsense. What price do I have to pay for letting you tell all the secrets you know? Very simple, let us go. Doflamingo looked squarely into Miller's eyes. The latter had a few hesitations on his face. The secret of Marie Joyce's great national treasure was very seductive when he heard it, but Miller also agreed to Luo and let him kill Doflamingo. As celestial dragons, I know their cards and secrets better than anyone. Doflamingo induced. Maybe I know. No, it must be of vital importance for you to overthrow the world government in the future. I agreed. After thinking about it, Miller still didn't resist the temptation. No way, all creatures have a strong curiosity. This is instinct, and he is indeed tempted. Especially the big secret about celestial dragons, Miller had no reason to refuse. Fortunately, this guy agreed. Doflamingo took a deep breath in relief. Although the secret is good, it's not as important as life. The so-called Marie Joy's great national treasure. Doflamingo narrowed his eyes and fell into the memory. It's actually ancient weapon Uranus. Uranus in celestial dragon's hands. Miller was stunned. He had imagined celestial dragons controlling all kinds of extremely lethal weapons, even the so-called devil fruit tree. But after thinking about it, I never thought it was Uranus. Since celestial dragons had Uranus in their hands, why did they send CP9 to the City of Seven Waters to steal the Pluton design? You can put all your thoughts on Uranus. You have a big flaw in your rhetoric. Miller stared at Doflamingo deeply, and there was even a chill in his eyes. He suspected that this kid was playing with himself. This is an unquestionable fact. Doflamingo increased his voice and emphasized. Uranus is indeed in the hands of celestial dragons, but something is wrong now. This is due to rocks. Doflamingo told another group of secrets, and these words immediately surprised Miller. In fact, there has always been a very strange thing. Why did rocks attack the Valley of Gods? If you really want to overthrow the world government, you can attack Marie Joy's, where there are more celestial dragons than the Valley of Gods, and even 5 elders. Is Uranus in the Valley of Gods? Miller guessed. Yes. Doflamingo nodded. In that battle, Rock's pirate actually wanted to snatch Uranus from celestial dragons. I admire their courage. In the hundreds of years since the birth of the world government, only that man was so bold. Grabbing ancient weapon from celestial dragons is indeed courageous, Miller also confessed. But they also underestimated the power of celestial dragons, especially Garp and Roger, who was a rookie pirate at the time. Doflamingo said in a condensed voice. In the end, Rocks was defeated, their members disbanded, and the Valley of the God of War also disappeared. I know where the Valley of Gods is hidden, or I know where Uranus is. At this point, Doflamingo spoke with confidence. But activating Uranus requires harsh conditions. It is a super weapon capable of devouring vitality. If a person's vitality is not enough, he will be instantly sucked into a corpse. So you thought of Op Fruit's ageless operation? Miller is finally relieved at this moment. No wonder this kid is still obsessed with the old surgery. It turns out that it is also important to call ancient weapon. Think about it carefully. New World heroes such as Crocodile, Kaido, Anti, Rocks, and even Golden Lion are extremely obsessed with ancient weapon. If you want to defeat celestial dragons, you can only rely on ancient weapon. Don't be fooled by those fat-eared idiots. They actually have a strong fighting power inside. Otherwise, why do you think Marine is a good dog? Doflamingo said bluntly. 5 Elders itself has great power. There are many hidden departments in the world government that have never been known to anyone. In addition, the true celestial dragon's leader is not 5 Elders. It's called EIM. Doflamingo can be said to know everything without saying anything. In celestial dragons, it is revered as a god. You guys are quite cooperative. Miller confirmed that Doflamingo's remarks are true. IM is indeed the king of celestial dragons and the master of the Void Throne. Even if 5 Elders saw it, he would bow down. Okay, you can go. Miller waved his hand and ordered someone to unlock Doflamingo. The pretty violet face on the side was suddenly ugly. Master Miller is really. Miller looked at her with sullen eyes, and Violet shut up. Doflamingo was surprised. Miller was more refreshing than he thought. I have to take away my subordinates. Doflamingo added, and Miller agreed. It didn't take long for Diamante and others, who were frozen in ice, to be sent over. Little Lord. The members of the Donquixote family hugged and wept. Everyone did not expect to see each other again. Let's go. Doflamingo glanced over from the huge Dressrosa Palace, which will be Miller's territory from now on. He is about to wander the sea again. Before leaving, Doflamingo also marked the location of the Valley of Gods on the map. It is worth mentioning that the moment Doflamingo was defeated, his Shichibukai was cancelled, and now he has become Marine's wanted criminal. Master Miller. Do you really want to let them go? Let the tiger go back to the mountain. After Doflamingo left, Violet dared to whisper. There is no way, I am a man who keeps his promise. Miller picked up the wine glass on the table and shook the champagne in the glass gently. As a man, you should respect your promise. How did Na Luo explain it? Violet asked. You woman, I usually think it's very smart. Why is my brain lacking a string at this time? Miller looked helplessly at Violet's full-ass drum, and slapped angrily. I am me. Luo is Luo, but I let him go. I can't replace Luo. Miller said gloomily. The Violet on the side of petrified immediately. This is the so-called keeping promises? Shameless. Young master, what should I do in the future? On the streets of Dressrosa, Doflamingo left with a group of people. Diamante asked worriedly. Cough cough cough. Doflamingo did not answer. He coughed constantly. He was seriously injured during the battle with Miller. Don't worry about this for now. Let's find a place to heal your injuries. Room. A cloud of dust rose on the ground, and the transparent space suddenly swept and spread, engulfing Doflamingo's group in an instant. It's been a long time, everyone. Luo carried Tadao out of the alley. Get out of here, your master has let us go. Doflamingo was furious. It was he who let you go, but it doesn't mean that the others will let you go. Luo sneered. Did this human spirit be tricked? Deserve it. You guys actually play this set with lousy? Doflamingo is furious, his head is full of blue veins. Word game? Luo sneered. The cycle of cause and effect, no one in this world can stay aside. Wasn't Doflamingo teasing others like this? Now the retribution is coming. Kill you first. Doflamingo's murderous aura leaked. He stretched out his hand, and a large number of thread balls swept out of his palm. When he was about to attack, the fiery pain swept through his body, and the thread balls he threw had to be retracted. He was hit hard by Miller before, but Doflamingo is still recovering. Now it is a miracle that his combat power can play 50%. Facing Luo. I'm afraid it's hanging up, and the other Doflamingo's subordinates are not much better. They were all frost-bited in the previous decisive battle, and there was not much fighting power left. And this old ant has become very strong. In fact, what is unknown is that another group of people also landed on Dressrosa CP0. Previously, Doflamingo threatened celestial dragons with the secret of Marie Joy's great national treasure. In desperation, celestial dragons sent CP0 support. But when they arrived, Doflamingo had already been defeated. However, at this time, they received a new order from celestial dragons Doflamingo. Only the dead will be silent forever. In a bar on the southeast side of Dressrosa, several CP0 members gathered here. It seems we don't need to do it anymore. Trafalgar Law does it. Doflamingo was hit hard. He couldn't beat Luo. You can go back to life. I agree too. Agree. Several members of CP0 exchanged opinions, and immediately they decided to return to their lives. Squeak. The door of the bar had just been opened, a touch of electricity was greeted, and the words 100 million volts could be heard. Pouch. Lightning was like a spear, and the head of the person who opened the door was pierced on the spot. Rumble. Thunder and lightning exploded, and the tiny electric current caused a fire. Several members of CP0 were killed, and the two who walked in the front were the most miserable. One was pierced by thunder and lightning, and the other was burned alive. Which guy who doesn't have eyesight dare to face CP0 opponents? The remaining three CP0s were furious. Observation hockey spread out like a radar, and soon they looked for someone to do it. Yo. Miller was standing on the roof directly in front of the bar, and there was another person behind him, Khalifa. Lucky, and Kaku. Khalifa's face is extremely complicated, because the two of CP0 are Lu Chi and Kaku. It's really surprising. I heard that you were chased and killed by Marine in a desperate way. How long has it been since you became CP0? Unbelievable. Miller was surprised too. Duplicator Miller. Another member of CP0 pointed to Miller. Dare to attack us, you know that means, finger pistol. Pouch. Pouch. Lucci and Kaku launched finger pistol one after another, running through their companions from behind. Oh? Miller's eyes are shining. Infighting? The ugly CP0 member spurted blood and turned to look at Lucci and Kaku and shouted, you two will never. Poof. Miller ejected a laser casually, piercing the man's head. Lucky, and Kaku. Why are you two doing things like this? Khalifa was extremely worried. Looking around, Lucci's hair has appeared slightly pale. The same goes for Kaku, who feels like he is suddenly a teenager. Are there other companions? Khalifa thought of the rest of CP0. Everyone is dead. Lucci responded with a hoarse voice. Everyone except me and Kaku was caught by Marine. Spandam tried to kill them all in order to make us completely behind the scenes. How can it be? Khalifa was hit hard, and his body softened. Upon seeing this, Miller hurriedly came up to support Khalifa, frowning and asked. In this case, Why do you still work for celestial dragons, and even become CP0? It is because we bear in mind the hatred that the two of us are willing to continue to sell our lives to the world government. Only by constantly approaching them can we wipe out the scum. Kaku explained with a red eye. How loyal they were to the world government in the past, and how they hate it now. I see. Miller suddenly smiled. I have a murder weapon that guy has researched on hand. Would you like to bring Marie Joyce to try? Kaku throbbed when he heard the words and looked at Lu Chi. Lu Chi was silent, lowering his head to consider the risk. Don't want to. I just talk about it casually. Miller thought this guy didn't want to reveal his identity for the time being, and the risk was indeed high. Can you kill 5 elders? Lu Chi asked suddenly. What? This time it was Miller's turn to be stunned. He looked at Lu Chi in surprise. Is this kid so cruel? You want to use Guy's murder weapon to kill 5 elders? It's probably a bit overwhelming. 5 elders are strong at the level of admiral or 4 emperors. Everyone has an extraordinary fighting power. It is difficult to kill them. Miller said truthfully, but Marie Joyce must have suffered heavy casualties. This is fine too. Lu Chi agreed. Miller quickly picked up the phone worm and contacted Kaido, asking this guy to bring in more of the killing weapon, Koro, he developed. Will it be risky? Khalifa looked at Miller worriedly. The only companions of CP9 are Lucci and Kaku. We have been training together since childhood, and the relationship between them is like brothers and sisters. Khalifa doesn't want to see any accidents between them. It doesn't matter even if it is exposed, just join my pirate group at that time. Miller preached fearlessly. What is risk-free in this world? It's worth a bet. Lu Chi is extremely confident. First of all, their identity is CP0 and they can enter Marie Joyce unimpeded. You take care, and you must pay attention to safety. Lu Chi and Kaku had decided, and Khalifa couldn't dissuade them. At the same time, the battle on the other side also ended, and many members of the Donquixote family still lost to Luo and ended in a disastrous defeat. During this period Enel and Shiryu also joined in, they have no chance of winning. In Dressrosa's palace. Covered in blood, Doflamingo, who was more tragic than half an hour ago, was brought back by Luo and Shiryu. Insidious, mean, cunning, shameless. Seeing Miller sitting on the throne, Doflamingo, beaten, came back with strength. Hey, I just promised that I won't do it, but others can't help it. Miller shrugged, with an irrelevant expression. Speaking of which, where did this guy's legs go? Miller looked at Luo and asked. Doflamingo's legs disappeared. The incision did not bleed, which obviously belongs to the super-cutting ability of Op Fruit. In case of an accident, I temporarily took advantage of it and took it away. Luo explained. It's so cruel. Miller looked at Doflamingo with pity, then glanced at Luo. It's starting now. Bring people up, Bartolomeo. In a short time, 7 or 8 potential young people were brought up. Master Miller. Everyone knelt on one knee respectfully, and everyone's face was filled with excitement. Soon, they will inherit the abilities of Doflamingo and others. I can't forgive you if I'm a ghost, Doflamingo roared. Miller didn't bother to pay attention to him. Darkness erupted from his hands, and the darkness covered Doflamingo's several people. After 2 or 3 seconds, the screams of Doflamingo and others resounded. It took more than 10 seconds to stop. When Miller removed the black barrier, all the members of the Donquixote family who came into view fell down. Everyone's chest was hollowed out. Thank you, Lord Miller. The young men fell on their knees again to show their loyalty. By all accounts, Miller's army of capable people has climbed to the level of 70 people. Ha ha ha. Dressrosa will be our place from now on. Cheer as much as you want, little ones. The party, it's about to start again. Miller raised his arms and shouted. Happy screams came from all inside and outside the palace. Miller and others have not stopped all night. Wine, barbecue, and beauties are all indispensable, and everyone is caring. It wasn't until noon the next day that Miller opened his eyes in a muddled manner. I was drunk again yesterday. Miller rubbed his head, his whole head now dumbfounded, seeing everything have ghosts. He was lying on the soft bed at the moment, and Miller didn't know exactly where it was. Ta ta ta. After a while, there was a sound from outside, and Miller looked towards the entrance of the room, and it was a beautiful figure. Master Miller. Violet caught the eye. After seeing Miller awake, she, the princess, acted like a servant, helping Miller get up, changing his clothes, and even washing everything together. The service was very attentive. After everything was done, he personally helped Miller make a breakfast, which tasted strangely good. Grumbling. Miller gulped the milk and looked at the Violet across the table. Of course he knew what the chick meant. Violet, you don't need to be nervous, just don't worry. I will hand over the throne of Dressrosa to you Liku royal family. Miller is not stupid, the reason why he pleases himself so much is because of the throne of the Liku clan. Really? Violet held her small fist, her expression extremely excited. Actually, I don't have much interest in ruling, let alone just a Dressrosa. Give me 10 countries to be the king, I am not that piece of material either. Miller took a bite of steak, and it didn't taste bad. But I only have one condition, in the future you. Hey. Miller looked at Violet thiefly, and the latter lowered her head in embarrassment. She understood what Miller meant. After hesitating for 2 or 3 seconds, Violet nodded. Dressrosa needs the protection of the strong, otherwise, even if it is restored, who can guarantee that the next Doflamingo will not appear? By the way, Lord Miller, a group of people came to you this morning. Violet said suddenly, they call themselves the Revolutionary Army. Real or fake? Miller opened his mouth in surprise. After Sabodi Archipelago made such a rude condition last time, he thought the Revolutionary Army had given up. Is it here again now? Miller vaguely remembered that the Revolutionary Army wanted to cooperate to deal with the world government. Miller's condition was to give him North Roberti and Crawl. In this way, he is willing to cooperate. In Miller's view, Monkey D. Dragon should not agree to this kind of thing. After all, he and Luffy have the same virtues, and they attach great importance to the so-called companions. But since people are here, let's meet. Miller stretched. Within a short while, members of the Revolutionary Army were brought over. In addition to Koala and North Roberti, there is an unexpected character, Monkey D. Dragon. The commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Army actually came to Dressrosa in person. To be honest, Miller was quite surprised. Monkey D. Dragon was a busy man, and he actually came in person right now. Miller was really caught off guard. Royal Palace of Dressrosa. Just in time for lunch, Miller had a banquet and senior officials from both sides attended. In addition to Long and North Roberti and Koala, the Revolutionary Army has other army captains. Shiryu, Enel, Robin and others all appeared on Miller's side. It's strange to say that the general staff of the Revolutionary Army did not show up. Miller's face was puzzled. Sabo is the number 2 person in the Revolutionary Army. Was he absent from this important alliance? Confusing. Monkey D. Dragon's face was a little unnatural, but it disappeared in an instant. Sabo has other tasks to perform. Really, he is also a busy man. Miller glanced at Koala thoughtfully, and there was something wrong with the kid. His 2 big eyes were red. Seems to cry before? If you remember correctly, Sabo seems to have a very special affection for this woman, as if it is a love between men and women. Is this the woman who robbed her? Miller couldn't help but smile, the expression on his face particularly awkward. After 3 rounds of drinking, Monkey D. Dragon started talking about the topic. As for your request, the Revolutionary Army has already fulfilled it. From now on, Bila Beatty and Koala will be members of the Miller Pirates. And we are also allies. Captain Miller has other opinions on this. Monkey D. Dragon asked with a smile. The tattoos on this guy's face are very permeating, but when he smiles, he has a strange affinity, which makes people want to relax their guard. Miller took a deep look at Monkey D. Dragon, telling him intuitively that this is a very dangerous man. Go ahead. Monkey D. Dragon glanced at North Roberti and Koala, who immediately sat next to Miller. Ha 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 ha. After the atmosphere was silent for a while, Miller burst into laughter, and grabbed the waists of North Roberti and Koala respectively, and the salty pig hands raged. Then I will respect my fate. If the Revolutionary Army has any trouble in the future, just greet my brother. Actually, there is indeed a tricky thing right now. The Revolutionary Army hopes to get help from the Miller Pirates. Monkey D. Dragon looked at Miller expectantly. It's a mess. Lousy just said it casually. You're more shameless than lousy, and I don't know how to be polite. Miller smiled without a smile, and asked, tell me. The Revolutionary Army has been trying to overthrow the rule of the world government, but the enemy's power is too strong, and there has been no progress in the past few years. I think Captain Miller will send troops to fight against the countries of the world government. The Revolutionary Army said straightforwardly. The world government is also my enemy, of course. Miller readily agreed. I will send the Devil Fruit Corps to fight with the Revolutionary Army. Devil Fruit Legion. Monkey D. Dragon froze for a moment. The intelligence network of the Revolutionary Army had only heard of the Kaido Corps of capable people. Miller also built it? Yes, it's about 70 to 80 people, Miller said excitedly. With such fierce generals as Enel and Shiryu of the Rain, as well as the Devil Fruit Corps, plus a number of other corps members, the Miller Pirates are already the giants of the New World. Monkey D. Dragon sincerely admired. It is hard to imagine that in history, there were pirates who formed the Four Emperors group in less than half a year. Ha ha ha, compared with the Revolutionary Army, I'm just a little trouble. You have a mission of justice, and the future of this world still depends on you. Miller and Monkey D. Dragon started to talk to each other in business. After the meal was over, Monkey D. Dragon left with someone, and Miller sent the army of capable people to follow along, as well as Shiryu and Enel. No matter what kind of country it looks like, it can be destroyed. At night, in Dressrosa's palace, Miller came out of Robin's room happily and lay down on the balcony to smoke. He looked at the night sky in the distance, not knowing what he was thinking, mouthful after mouthful. It's a miracle when you don't think you are also sentimental. It's because of Monkey D. Dragon. Robin's faint voice sounded from behind, and Miller glanced back at her. It's really because of him. Miller didn't deny it, and bluntly said, "This is a very dangerous man. The Revolutionary Army has almost been brainwashed. They can give up everything for the so-called belief. I think you and the Revolutionary Army have joined forces to overthrow the world government. It is a very happy ending." Robin expressed a different view. "You think too much, they are just looking at my power. To put it bluntly, they are using lousy." Miller sneered, "Don't forget that we are a pirate. A simple thief is doomed to our lives." "Why don't I understand what you mean?" Nico Robin tilted his head. "If you think about it, one day in the future, if the Revolutionary Army and I defeat the world government, will the Revolutionary Army be able to accommodate the pirates?" Miller sees it very clearly. Neither the world government nor the Revolutionary Army can tolerate the existence of pirates, because this is a group of lawless evil elements. At least 99 of 100 pirates are bad guys, including Miller himself. Good people. They wantonly trample on the power of the world, and there are more than tens of thousands of innocent people who die because of pirates every year. The towns destroyed by the pirates are countless, so once the Revolutionary Army overthrows the world government, it is estimated that the pirates will be the next to liquidate the Revolutionary Army. "Then what are your plans?" Robin asked inexplicably. "The Revolutionary Army still has some strength. Anyway, they are right. My enemy is also the world government, so let's use the Revolutionary Army to consume the power of Marine and world government." Miller said gloomily. "What do you do with North Roberti and Koala?" Robin asked. "Let's observe again. Anyway, I still can't fully believe them, but it's okay to talk about life another day, hee hee." On the sea near Dressrosa. The sky was pitch black, thunder and lightning roared, and terrible thunder and lightning dropped occasionally above the sky, bombarding the sea indiscriminately. A battleship is advancing in the storm, and the sign on the sail is a huge mammoth. "Master Jack, the Joker has been defeated, and it doesn't make much sense for us to rush to Dressrosa." In the cabin, the boys reported to Jack the Drow. Jack the Drow, offering a reward of up to 1 billion Baileys, one of the 3 plagues of Beast's pirates, as also the reinforcement to support Dressrosa this time. Unfortunately, their speed was too slow, and as soon as they arrived near Dressrosa, Doflamingo was killed. "Really? Dead?" Jack looked at the lifecard burned to ashes, his face was a little gloomy, and the person was dead. How did he go back and explain to the 2 eldest brothers? The king and queen said, "Let him do his best to keep Doflamingo." Jack's face hurts terribly. This is no way. Jack raised his peculiar scimitar. "Asshole, move the boat over. Lousy wants to capture Miller alive, and take his head to Wano-kuni for business." Jack is a well-known Tai Han, not afraid of heaven and earth, let alone Miller. Even if Uranus Lousy is in front of him, he will go up and cut you if he gets in the way. What's more, it is Miller's young, yellow-haired boy. Even if it is the ass of 4 emperors, Uncle Jack said that he should touch it. Royal Palace of Dressrosa. You too, how can you smile at the uncle one by one? Miller grabbed North Roberti and Koala by the chins and joked, "Is it unhappy that I am here? I can understand it. After all, newcomers, do you want to open a pool party to invigorate the atmosphere? Unexpectedly you are such a boring man." Norberti snatched the cigar from Miller's mouth and took a pleasant sip. "It's kind of disappointing." "Aren't the pirates seeking power and beauty?" Miller asked rhetorically. "That's why I think you are boring and vulgar," North Roberti said sarcastically. "Haha," Miller smiled, not angry, and asked, "Then where is the noble Monkey D. Dragon who gave you as pets? The leader has the whole world in his mind, and you have only pure lust in your eyes." North Liberty spoke cleverly. For the Revolutionary Army, we are willing to sacrifice ourselves. Lousy is waiting for your words, then I'm not welcome. Miller's eyes gleamed towards the two of them. In half an hour, bang bang bang. There was an impatient knock on the door, and Violet said anxiously, Master Miller, I saw the battleship of Beast's pirates by staring at the fruit. The man leading is Jack the Drow. Let Shiryu and Enel go. Forget it, let me do it myself. Shiryu and Enel were sent by Miller to assist the Revolutionary Army in attacking the member countries of the world government, and he still has a lot of fighting power under his banner, such as Khalifa, Bartolomeo, and Luo. Although his strength is not bad, Jack, who is expecting these people to contend with the three plagues, is not so good. Creak. After a few minutes' delay, Miller came out of the room. You are. Seeing Miller's disheveled clothes and scratches on his neck, Violet lowered his head in embarrassment. You don't need to look at it to know that Miller's face must be ugly, his interest is disturbed, and he must be very angry. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. Several warships led by Jack launched shelling on Dressrosa. None of the shells exploded, and they were all intercepted successfully. Khalifa, Luo, Robin, and Bartolomeo all acted. Especially Luo. After helping him solve Doflamingo, this kid became more loyal to Miller. He released the room space on a large scale to protect Dressrosa. Forcibly break into Lousy directly. Seeing that the shells were useless, Jack was anxious, waved his hand, and ordered several warships to attack. Rumble. Our warship was hit by a fatal shelling, and a large number of shells from Dressrosa fell on the nearby sea. Jack can only go forward braving the bullets. Ah. Miller stood on the King's Heights, and looked at Jack who was constantly thrusting in. He was also drunk. When he didn't cross, he knew that this guy had a nickname Tai Hanhan. This guy still attacked the Marine fleet carrying Admiral Fujitora, Chief Staff Crane, and retired Marshal Sengoku. Can normal people do such things? Even if Kaido comes, it won't work, but Jack did just that. He is typically brave and intrepid, even more arrogant than his boss Kaido. Boom. The port of Dressrosa shuddered suddenly, a battleship rushed to the shore, and all the little brothers that Jack had brought jumped off. Jack held up the weird scimitar, waving his arms and shouting, Little ones, catch the replica Miller alive. Master Jack, can we really do it? The other party is the same 4 emperors as Governor Kaido. How do I feel like I'm thrown into the net? The little brothers that Jack brought want to cry without tears, and they don't want to land in Dressrosa, but Jack threatened his life. Idiots. Jack saw that the little brothers had aspirations and extinguished their own power. He was not angry. His eyes threatened with killing intent and said, Whoever dares to step back and kill will not be amnesty. Don't forget who I am. Lousy, Lousy, I am the 3 plagues of Kaido-sama. Boom boom. Suddenly there was a violent movement in the sky, and the ultimate bright thunder and lightning lit up the sky like the sun. I can vaguely hear words like 200 million volts. Rumble. Immediately afterwards, a mighty thunder and lightning blasted Jack's body, like a bomb of hundreds of thousands of tons exploded. Jack's tall body was blown away 100 meters away. The crews and battleships he brought were all blown up. Jack was even more miserable. He rotated dozens of times in midair like acrobatic, and then fell to the ground with a bang, and the hard stone slabs were smashed by him. Damn it, who attacked Lousy? Jack, who was scorched all over, had an aggrieved expression. He hadn't seen who the enemy was. The men he had brought in his battleship Mammoth had been smashed. Snap it. The thunder and lightning condensed above the mountains, and Miller walked out of it. He stood in the sky, his figure as steady as if he were stepping on the earth. You. What were you yelling about just now? Miller looked down at Jack condescendingly, his cold eyes like a pool of stagnant water. Guru. Jack choked in his throat, and immediately smiled. I am Jack the Drow, one of the 3 plagues under Governor Kaido. Oh, you just call me Xiaoji. Jack shrank his head. How arrogant he was before, how embarrassed he is now. The thunder and lightning just blasted his body to be crisp now, without any strength. People under the eaves have to bow their heads. Little, Xiaoji? Hearing Jack's claim, Miller almost laughed. When did Jack get so low-key? Stand up and I'll take a look. Miller looked at Jack and said lightly. The latter exerted force on his legs and fell over with a puff, just half of his body stood up. The numbness in the body did not disappear. That's it, it's boring. If you still have strength, I guess your fists are on my face, right? Miller asked leisurely. Jack chuckled when he heard the words, Don't dare, Lord Miller laughed. Actually, I came to Dressrosa to talk about business. Jack opened his mouth and said, it's still a big business, involving a transaction of more than 1 billion Baileys. Are you here to talk about business? Miller's eyes were full of suspicion. The Kaido pirates of the beasts were all dead. Send this second guy over? We and Doflamingo used to have an artificial devil fruit business. Now Dressrosa has become your domain. You will naturally take over the business of beasts pirates and Donquixote family. We plan to buy 100 artificial devil fruit from you. Jack raised a finger and said. Hearing this, Miller examined Jack carefully for a moment, then applauded and said, I didn't see it, you were good at it. Ha ha ha, Master Miller laughed. I have always managed the business of beasts pirates and Donquixote family. To be honest, I am really talented in this regard. Every time I get a 20% discount for the clown, I am responsible for escorting man-made I'm the one from Devil Fruit. Jack patted his chest and preached, Boss Kaido is also very relieved of me. Don't get me wrong, I mean you are good at talking nonsense. Miller sneered and talked about Dressrosa, who would be bombarded by business. This is really a misunderstanding, Master Miller. Jack's heart was about to jump as he stared at that chilly eyeball. You misunderstood me, I really came to kill you. The pleasing and flattering on his face suddenly turned into killing intent. After the paralysis caused by the thunder and lightning dissipated, Jack, who had recovered his strength, turned into a mammoth. Boom. His body weighed several tons, and the earth shook when he ran. Just know that your dog is delaying time to regain strength. Miller sneered. Jack, who is a zone-capable person, is extremely resilient, giving him a certain amount of time to recover from his injuries. Jack's eyes were extremely cruel, and his sharp tusks pierced Miller's head directly. Boom. Gravity hits, and the sharp ivory resembles a heavy cannon, and Miller retreats again and again. Zone elephant fruit, ancient species, mammoth form capable Jack has been captured. Now it is copied. 1%, 50%, 100%. Copy is completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the elephant fruit. The sound of the system's machinery resounded through my mind. Seen and heard, Jack, the carrier of armament hockey, has been captured. Thank you, Jack. Miller smiled, and after the ability was replicated, he launched a fierce counterattack. The big hand grabbed Jack's ivory, and the lava on his hand spread out. Jack panicked when he saw this, and his huge body withdrew. However, Miller's thin body hides unimaginable power. Those big hands are like giant arms, full of explosive power. Jack's struggle is useless. In a flash, Jack's ivory was melted by the magma. You bastard, you ruined Lousy's baby ivory. Jack was furious, the front half of his height raised, and his hooves stepped on Miller. Boom. A barrier prevented Jack's hooves, and the angry guy quickly activated his ability, Corruption. The reason Jack is called a drought is because wherever he goes, the earth will dry and crack. Kaka. There were also many cracks in this barrier right now, and it was about to break. After the ability was activated, just about 2 or 3 seconds passed, the barrier was corrupted by Jack, and a pair of front hooves gathered enough strength to fall. But Miller had disappeared, but the familiar sharp ivory thorn came. Pouch. The cold and hard ivory penetrated his cheeks, and 2 blood holes appeared on Jack's face instantly, and he burst into tears in pain. This is me? Jack looked at him exactly the same, dumbfounded. No, it's Miller, the replicator, who has robbed me of my abilities, and he has become a mammoth like me. After recovering, Jack quickly understood the reason, and at the same time, his chest exploded with unprecedented anger. It was so irritating. Miller used the lava fruit to melt his ivory. Instead, Miller used the ivory to pierce his cheek. How could his face survive? Don't even say, this object has strong teeth. If it covers armament hockey, it will be more lethal, right? Miller's teasing voice sounded. For fear that he would not be able to irritate Jack, he deliberately added fuel to the fire. Some people are pitiful, and the ivory is gone all of a sudden. You see how beautiful this snow-white ivory is. You wanna die. Jack struggling to hit him when he was annoyed. Miller also hit his head head-on. Boom. The 2 huge mammoths collided together, and the shock wave dispersed the sand on the ground. Jack held his head and screamed again and again. His head was dizzy, and the concussion was almost knocked out. He glared at Miller angrily, the guy's head covered with diamonds. That is Jose's ability. Jack doesn't have this ability, so he suffered a big loss in the impact just now. His head was blood red, and it was rotten meat. No brain fool. 1 billion Jack, 900 million ivory, that's not wrong at all. Miller's face was full of contempt. A cadre of the Four Emperors group fights four emperors. This guy must be flooded in his head, right? Anyone with a normal head will retreat as soon as possible. But then again, this is a common problem of Beast's pirates, all of them are brazen. Both Queen and King dare to hard steel Ant. This Jack and his two big brothers have the same virtue. As a zone-capable person, Jack has super resilience. The rotten meat on his forehead has begun to condense. Jack roared again and again, and a lot of muscles suddenly burst out of his body. He became a mammoth and grew bigger. Miller compares with him, the whole body is a little smaller. After the transformation, Jack's weight has obviously increased again. Jack seemed to regain his self-confidence and rushed again. Miller imitated Jack's appearance, his muscles bulged, the speed visible to the naked eye increased, and he also became a giant elephant. And this time it was even more extreme than before. Diamonds emerged from the surface of the skin all over the body, wearing them like armor. Diamond Mammoth. Damn, you don't understand the rules. The fight between the same kind shouldn't be so shameless, can't it be like a man-dignified fight? Jack yelled at this scene. Miller sneered, man? Aren't they all mammoths at the moment? Kill. Jack doesn't have the ability of Miller, so he can only cover armament hockey and hit him. Boom. The two heads collided again, and Jack's mind went blank for a while. Too strong. 200 million volts. A bright electric current erupted from Miller, engulfing Jack, who was close at hand on the spot. Rumble. Lightning exploded on him. This time he didn't blow Jack's heavy body away, but he was still severely scorched, covering armament hockey. Jack's painful elephant face shrank into a ball. He didn't expect Miller's attack to be so domineering. As a last resort, he regained his appearance as a human, using his body to fight, and he can also avoid lightning attacks with various techniques. If you transform into a mammoth, it's too big to avoid. Yo, persuaded? Miller also turned into a human appearance, and Jack immediately killed with a weird machete. Boo. The moment he hit Miller's palm, it felt strange, like rubber, extremely soft. Jack looked suspiciously. It turned out that Miller's palm had already secreted a layer of transparent air. Big bear shock, Miller screamed, and the air in his hand exploded suddenly. A violent shockwave ran over Jack, and his bones creaked through his body. Hum. Jack screamed. It felt like a mountain stepped on him, and his bones were about to break. Laser. With a flick of his finger, another beam shot straight out, rushing straight towards Jack's forehead. The kid was frightened and quickly crossed his arms to defend, and covered the armed defense. Rumble. The moment the laser hit Jack, it exploded again, and the powerful shockwave lifted Jack up suddenly. He fell to the ground in an extremely embarrassed manner, and vomited blood in his mouth. Hateful. Jack stood up tremblingly, and it happened to be this time when the wind passed by and Jack was already surrounded by the oval space. What kind of ghost power is this? Jack exclaimed. He looked at Miller, who had used the shining fruit to condense a sword from the sky. Miller held a long knife and swept it lightly in front of him. Jack was so frightened that he crossed his arms to defend again. Strangely, there was no slashing attack, not even a trace of power leaked. But Jack's body seemed to have been cut by thousands of knives, dismembered into countless pieces. What kind of evil power is this? Jack screamed hard. His body was divided into hundreds of pieces. Eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Just one head is divided into 10 or 20 parts. The weird thing is that even so he can still speak. This is op fruit. Luo, who was watching, stared at Jack with pity. Miller was too lazy to say something. His fingers twitched slightly, and a certain part of Jack flew over. Wrapped in a square, you can hear the thumping beating sound. Boss Miller, Xiaoji, I was wrong. Jack was scared to pee. This is his heart. No matter how strong the resilience of Zone's ability person is, he will definitely die if his heart is blown out. This is for you. Miller waved a big hand, and the strange object flew in front of Luo. Luo, look at your boy's body so weak. This is an elephant whip, take a lot of supplements. Luo. Spare me, okay, I'll kowtow to you. Jack pitifully begged for mercy. Miller was still indifferent. Your ability is very good, it belongs to me. Pouch. The sky swept out from the cloud sword, and the light penetrated the heart and burned it to death. Ah puff. Jack took a tragic squirt of blood and stared at Miller with spiteful eyes. In other parts of the world, after the Revolutionary Army received reinforcements from the Miller pirates, they were different from their low-key style in the past. and they actually attacked the countries of the world government in an open manner. I used to fan the flames secretly, but now I'm ready to jump out of the front steel. Where the countries that joined the world government could withstand such an attack, in just 1 or 2 days, 2 or 3 countries declared their demise one after another. Instead, it was a new regime that supported the revolutionary army. The entire royal family was also slaughtered. Although Marine rushed to reinforce each time, it was too late each time. The Revolutionary Army and the Miller Pirate Corps ran away ahead of time, and Marine hurried over. Hey, Sakazuki? We misunderstood you. The Marine you led is a group of incompetent wastes, all are wine and rice bags. The franchise countries have fallen one after another, and 5 elders can't sit still anymore. Picking up the phone worm is to spray the naval headquarters Marshal Akainu. Please pay attention to your words. Akainu's face felt dull. Lousy is now Marshal Marine, and he scolded me. Sakazuki doesn't need face. Also, why didn't you scold Sengoku like this? Pay attention to the wording. Are you worthy? The Marine you led is being played around by the Revolutionary Army, and we are also asked to pay attention to the wording. Who gave you the courage to make you talk to us like this? 5 elders on the opposite side of the phone worm roared again and again. Shouldn't the person who should pay attention to the wording be Akainu? The world government's franchise countries have been overturned several times. If Sengoku had already been pleaded for crimes. The rats are too cunning, they will leave after the damage is done, they don't dare to confront Marine head-on. Akainu was very angry. Don't make excuses for your incompetence, Sakazuki. Within 3 days, if you don't have a proper way to prevent similar things from happening, at your own risk. Marijoi's 5 elders directly killed the phone worm. They were very angry, and the consequences were naturally serious. Akainu was scolded for being suspicious of life, and even lost the phone bug in a hurry. He has never been so aggrieved. Revolutionary Army. Akainu's whole person is about to burn. He feels that the Revolutionary Army is sincere and can't make it through himself. When Sengoku was a marshal, why didn't Sengoku jump as much as he does now? And that damn copier Miller. Tell Vegapunk that the SSG Science Special Class will speed up my progress. Akainu can't wait. After SSG comes out, it will completely change the structure of the world. Its combat effectiveness is not weaker than Shichibukai, and it is also loyal. There is also a crucial factor: mass production. And because they are all robots, Miller's ability to replicate can be ignored. In addition, give the old man an all-out effort to hunt down the whereabouts of the Revolutionary Army. Akainu is going crazy, and naval headquarters are all messed up. He is not as gentle as Sengoku. His subordinates are frightened. Everyone is working tremblingly, for fear of ushering in Akainu's thunderous anger. After a night of hard work, Akainu didn't sleep at all, and his efforts were not in vain. Marshal Sakazuki. Someone previously reported that the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army is located on the White Earth Island, Baldy on the Grand Line. Soon guards came to report. Brother Baldy? Akainu quickly found the island on the map and was a little puzzled. Someone reported. Why does it sound so unreliable? Can the guy who reported the Revolutionary Army get in touch? Akainu asked. The other party will hang up after talking about the information, the guard explained. Akainu's eyes flashed. Order Fujitora to come and take a look. Also, contact Drake, he should also enter the new world. Order him to break into the Miller Pirates to spy on the intelligence. Akainu ordered in a deep voice. Drake, one of the supernovae, did not actually betray Marine at all. He has always been Marine's undercover agent and the captain of the Special Force, Sword. But in this case, the ability of Drake Rear Admiral will also be copied. The guard said worriedly. Tell Drake, the necessary sacrifice is inevitable. Akainu said blankly, thinking that Lousy's ability as a marshal has been copied. Is your little Rear Admiral a Harry? In Dressrosa Palace, Miller fulfilled the agreement with Violet and handed the king back to the Liku royal family. Miller will be delayed for a few days in Dressrosa. Master Miller, something is not good. Miller was walking around the gardens of the palace with May. Unfortunately, Bartolomeo rushed in a panic. He also had a newspaper in his hand. The newspaper published information that the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army was in ruins. Bartolomeo threw the information to Miller, who was not even interested in taking a second look. Did the Revolutionary Army die a few big figures? Miller asked. Bartolomeo looked at him in surprise. You seem to want the Revolutionary Army to be defeated? Because I ordered someone to call Marine to inform. Miller confessed. Bartolomeo's mouth was open enough to squeeze a fist. This. Why is this? Bartolomeo was puzzled. Isn't it a win-win cooperation? The overthrown countries have all become head-shaking warriors of the Revolutionary Army. Their power is expanding. It is not inappropriate to weaken it appropriately. If the world falls into the hands of the Revolutionary Army, they will also attack the pirates. When the time comes, I will unload the mill and kill the donkey. I may be the first pirate to be pulled out and shot. Remember, no government allows the existence of such an evil force as pirates. Miller just wanted to use the Revolutionary Army, Marine and world government to fight to the death. After Marine attacked Baldigo, the Revolutionary Army was caught off guard. They also paid a heavy price and many people were caught. But the core characters, such as Monkey D. Dragon and other important characters all fled. Monkey D. Dragon did not doubt Miller, because the base of the Revolutionary Army was top secret, and he never told Miller. In his bones, the dragon did not completely trust Miller. After all, he was a sinister and cruel pirate. Why Marine called suddenly? He was also very strange. He was still inclined that the recent actions of the Revolutionary Army might be too high profile, and Marine caught clues. Wanokuni of New World. Jack died in the battle. Beasts Pirates, 3 plagues, became 2 plagues, and the overall combat effectiveness was naturally weakened. The Beasts Pirates who had gone out also came back. After hearing that Jack was killed, this guy was unexpectedly calm. This thing ends here. Kaido finally chose to forbearance. He never did things like this in the past. Had it not been for Miller's inability to fight, he would have been in trouble by killing him. Boss Kaido, did you let Jack that stupid egg white die? In the direction of the Ghost Island, in the skull-shaped building, this is the core base camp of Beasts Pirates. The Queen looked at Kaido very speechless, and it stands to reason that Kaido should lead someone to the fight. Does this guy actually endure it now? Do you still want to avenge him? That idiot takes the blame. Kaido was not angry. I know he can't beat Miller, but the opponent is 4 emperors of the same level as lousy. Where does Jack get the courage of that fool? Not only did people die, but they also handed over their abilities to Miller. You have to take this as a warning. Kaido warned carefully. The Queen and King looked at each other. Kaido was obviously embarrassed. They even gathered all the cadres under their banner in private, planning to go to Dressrosa and Miller for a big fight. Just forget about Jack. Kaido gurgled wine, sad. The raw material used to research the artificial devil fruit has all fallen into Miller's hands, and guy who is in charge of this project is also in his hands. We can't have anger with the guy Miller. Lousy still legions of those who need to expand their capabilities. Then what do you mean? King and Queen both asked. Tell Miller that this is a world where peace leads to a win-win situation, and Lousy is willing to turn fighting into jade. Kaido's loud voice resounded through the island of ghosts. Actually, Miller would have been blown into the sky by a dragon's breath long ago. The key is that this guy can't afford it. Kaido can be sure that the next moment he attacks Miller, devil fruit and the dragon body will all belong to Miller. Fighting Miller will only make the gains more than the losses. Miller of Dressrosa quickly received a phone call from Kaido. He heard that the other party wanted to buy 100 artificial devil fruit, and he was even willing to pay billions of Baileys. Regarding Jack's death, I have not mentioned it at all. It seems that it hasn't happened again. No. Miller couldn't believe it. Kaido's nasty critic is also afraid of himself? No. That arrogant sea, land, and air creatures often do things like naval headquarters and other 4 emperors. Who in the world doesn't know that Kaido is not afraid of heaven and earth? Cogged right now. Incredible. In addition, Miller had long given up on the purchase of artificial devil fruit that Kaido said. He couldn't use that kind of thing, so he ordered Guy Saw to stop production. Now there are dozens of man-made devil fruits left, which are also left over before. Miller is not interested in the business of man-made devil fruit. He now orders Guy to spread a large-scale murder weapon, which will be used on the head of the world government in the future, and even part of it has been given to Lu Chi. Maybe soon, Marie Joyce will explode a purple-colored mushroom cloud. What an interesting thing, thank you, Doflamingo. In a luxurious bedroom in the Dressrosa Palace, Miller was playing with a phone bug, which he got after killing the Doflamingo and his gang. Blue. After a while, Miller called the worm, but no one answered him. He kept on calling and harassing each other. This was the phone worm used by Doflamingo to contact Virgo before. Maybe it was really impatient. Virgo, who was opposite the phone worm, finally answered the phone worm. Lousy as Miller. If you still don't answer, I'm going to report you at naval headquarters. Miller reported himself as soon as he came up, and warned, Virgo, I have evidence that you and Doflamingo are eyeing each other. You don't want me to send this information to Akainu's office, right? That fellow Akainu hates traitors the most. Do you want to be melted by magma? There was a thick threat between Miller's words. What do you want? Virgo asked in a deep voice. His current identity is quite embarrassing. It used to be Doflamingo who broke into Marine's undercover. And now that the owner is dead, he is also in the position of Marine Vice Admiral. Is it possible to be a Marine in the second half of your life? I don't want to say more nonsense. From now on, you will obey my orders obediently, understand? Miller's tone of command, in fact, he also took a fancy to Virgo's chess piece. Virgo. He was silent. It was inappropriate to promise, and it seemed inappropriate to not agree. The former young master was killed by Miller, now he wants to recognize the thief as his father? If you don't cooperate, there is no doubt that the same will not end well. My mother, are you still hesitating? Do you have such a deep feeling for Doflamingo? There are many loyal dogs like you in the sea. Miller ridiculed him first, and then seduced. Follow me, the benefit is indispensable to you. In the future, Marine Admiral was killed by me, and their devil fruit is yours. Admiral is not a kid. Wilgo suspected Miller was crazy. In the past few decades, I have not heard of Admiral's death in battle. Even Zephyr. That will be the future, at least for now he is still alive. Whether you believe it or not, you must remember it clearly for me. Starting today, you will be mine. Any information about Marine will be reported to me, understand? Miller said with a stern face. Wilgo's thought about going there, and finally gritted his teeth. I don't have much backing now, as you wish. Hearing that, Miller was satisfied with the phone worm. Insert a dark chess inside Marine. Doflamingo can be considered a visionary. It's just that in Miller's view, Wilgo's value has not been fully realized. A hidden chess piece like him, at least like Scouyard stabbing Whitebeard, should be exposed to Marine Admiral or the Marshal to not lose money. Master Miller. Luo's voice came from outside the palace, and he directly said to the crack of the door, someone has come to take refuge in us again. As Miller entered the new world, his power has grown stronger, and there are countless pirates who have come to take refuge in him not far away. There is no particularly high threshold for Miller Pirates' income, just apply for it. That is to say, the threshold is low, causing him to gather nearly 10,000 mobs. Would you like to report to me about this kind of thing? Luo. It's enough if you can't solve it yourself. Miller was full of blame when he came out. The other party is also the same supernova as ours, known as to degenerate Marine Rear Admiral, X Drake, and has a reward of 220 million Baileys. Luo quickly explained. He hopes Lord Miller will give a position as a small cadre. Germany, Drake? Miller's face was a little unnatural. If the family was clean, Miller raised his hands and feet to welcome him, which would be considered a good combat power. The key issue is that people are here to spy on intelligence, and Drake is actually Marine's undercover agent. Should the kid go to take refuge in Kaido? Why did he come to me? Miller rubbed his hair depressedly. Are these F*King F*KS interfering with each other undercover? Then I will drive him away? Luo asked tentatively. Why chasing him away? Come here, he's a capable person anyway. Miller said to Luo. It just so happens that Lousy is also idle. Call the kid over and show me. Clear. Luo Wenyan went to do it right away, and he didn't know why Miller had problems with Drake. You don't seem to welcome him. Robin walked out of the side room on one side. Nonsense, that kid is Marine's undercover agent. Miller's eyes were deep. Join in, it's probably because of the death of Naval Headquarters. Then what are you going to do, grab it to avoid future troubles? Robin asked with a frown. For the time being, let this kid join in. In the future, we can also use Drake in the reverse direction and let him pass the wrong information to Marine, wouldn't it be better? Miller said gloomily. It is worth mentioning that after the supernova entered the New World, in order to survive in this cruel sea, most of them chose to report to the group for warmth, and even directly joined other four emperors. Like Miller, who entered the New World as the pirate of the four emperors, he is the only one in history. After a while, Drake was brought over. The kid knelt on one knee and said respectfully, when Sabodi Archipelago, I heard of Master Miller's reputation, now I have a look. Looking up at Miller slightly, Drake looked reverently and preached, you are younger, better, and better than the rumors, and better than all the pirates of the same period. This flattering Lousy is very comfortable. Miller laughed, and Drake laughed awkwardly. Drake, I feel your sincerity, but I can tell you that Lousy's boat is full, it's a shame. Miller said helplessly with a cigar in his mouth, you are late, go back. Robin and Luo both looked at Miller. The fact that the Miller pirate group was never full was a deliberate embarrassment. No way. Drake looked at Miller suspiciously. He had seen others join in before. How could he be full by his turn? There is no way. I plan to form a pirate group of 10,000 people, but you are 1,000,001, which is just more of you. Miller said with a smile. What do you say? Drake is not stupid. There is no such a coincidence in the world. He understands Miller is sincere to make things difficult, and he can't figure out where he has offended Miller. As for revealing identity, Drake didn't think about it at all. Don't talk about Miller. No one at Marine knows Drake's identity except for a few high-level people. I hope Lord Miller will give me a chance. Drake looked at Miller sincerely and preached in an extremely impassioned tone. For Master Miller, my subordinates are willing to go through fire and water. In addition, I am Zone Dragon Fruit, ancient species, Allosaurus form. I am willing to let Master Miller copy my abilities. Not only is he willing to squeeze the ground for Miller's liver and brain, but he even volunteers his abilities. Where can such loyal subordinates look for these years? Luo Envy is extremely envious. Who doesn't want such a subordinate? Well, seeing how sincere you are, if I don't make an exception, lousy is too unkind. Miller finally let go. Drake felt relieved and finally broke into the enemy. But, with a sudden turn of the conversation, Miller still said sternly, that said, my ship is full, and I won't be recruiting anyone. So if you join in, you can't be a human being. Miller sternly emphasized. Otherwise, the rules will be broken, and everyone on Lousy's boat must obey the rules, even Lousy is no exception. I'm not a person, so what do you want me to do? Drake is going crazy. Why is this guy so difficult? Besides, even if it's really full, just kick it out alone. Isn't he, a supernova with a reward of more than 200 million Baileys, not as good as a scum? Drake couldn't figure out what Miller was thinking about. It was a weird thing. Since you are a dragon and dragon fruit capable person, transform yourself into me and see. Miller said suddenly. Clear. Drake honestly obeyed Miller's meaning. His body suddenly enlarged, his skin turned green, his feet became powerful hind limbs, and his two hands became forelimbs with sharp claws. Drake looked up, thinking Miller was about to replicate his abilities, who knew he was still sitting on the throne, still touching his chin, as if thinking about something. Kaido is a dragon and can fly in the air. Auntie can summon thunderclouds or fly in the air. My 4 emperors are too shabby to compare with them. Miller grievedly said to himself. Shabby. Drake twitched the corners of his mouth violently. There were dozens or even nearly 100 abilities, so what could be called shabby? What are they, beggars? Master Miller, how about you? Man. Drake was about to open his mouth when Miller had disappeared. I said Drake. Miller's voice came from his body. Drake hadn't reacted yet. Miller rode on his dragon's back. The other 4 emperors are very prestigious, and I also feel that I need a mount to act as a card face, don't you think? Let me be a mount. Drake almost fainted when he heard that. No wonder Miller, the bastard, didn't let him be a human being, because he wanted to make him a mount. He's also a supernova anyhow. Why don't you need face? Why, don't you agree? Seeing that Drake was silent, Miller asked ferociously, so, do you want to die? No, 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 no. Drake quickly denied it, crying without tears, and said, Master Miller, just mount the mount, as long as you like it. Ha 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 ha, that's right. Miller laughed unscrupulously. After half an hour, Miller rode Drake to dress Rosa Kabuto. Miller was obviously deliberately disgusting and ran to crowded places. Some reporters saw Miller using Drake as a mount and took photos. This is another big news, and they have thought about the length of the introduction Supernova X Drake, volunteering to become the mount of the replica Miller. Marine also saw the news here, and Akainu, who was the marshal, almost died of anger. Drake, you idiot, the old man asked you to join the Miller pirates, but he didn't ask you to mount Miller. Don't forget that you are a Marine. Marine Rear Admiral is the pirate's mount. Akainu has blown up his hair. He pays great attention to Marine's face, and he cannot accept Drake's insult to Marine. The guy Miller claims that he is full and he is not hiring. What can I do? Drake was crying without tears. He was so sad. Akainu called him and scolded him. Hey, are you bullying people like this? The old man doesn't want to hear your explanation. You'd better find me a serious job as soon as possible. Even a messenger is better than a mount. Akainu lost the phone worm in a rage. Speaking of it, he doesn't know how many phone worms he has lost these days. After becoming a marshal, more and more worries. Hey, God is really unfair. I have suffered both suffering and sin. Drake, who was far away in Dressrosa, looked up at the sky with a sad expression. He walked out of the quiet alley when a group of strange pirates happened to pass by the street. Drake glanced across the crowd, wondering, why didn't anyone know him? I went up and found out that they had just joined the Miller Pirates a few minutes ago. K-wave, didn't you say it was full? This is intentional. Drake cracked in place, and sure enough, the guy was deliberately fixing himself. 2 days later, Enel and Shiryu also returned with the Devil Fruit Army. They assisted the Revolutionary Army in making troubles all over the world. In these days, nearly 7 or 8 members of the world government have been overthrown. The rewards of the two have also increased. Enel 1.2 billion, Shiryu reached 1.085 billion Baileys. That group of blind Marines did it on purpose, right? Why is my reward lower than this kid every time? I killed not enough Marines? After seeing his reward order, Shiryu's violent temper came up, his eyes turned red, and he and Enel had been fighting for the position of second master. In terms of strength, Shiryu thinks he is better than Enel, but the embarrassing thing is that the bounty is always suppressed. You idiot who can only wield a knife, can't even figure out such simple things. It must be a pig's brain. Don't say that you are the second master. It is your job to give FCK shoes. Enel provocatively threw 50 Baileys, and laughed unscrupulously. Shiryu, come up and polish your father's shoes. Silly boy who can only discharge, you are looking for death. Shiryu's sword swished out of the sheath, and the blade released a majestic killing intent. Hey. You two give me enough. Seeing that the two were about to fight again, Miller had to stand up. I'm leaving Dressrosa soon. I want me to throw you into the sea to feed the fish? Got to go? Enel looked back. I thought I was going to station base camp in Dressrosa. That can only mean that your IQ is negative. Such an idiot is not even qualified to shine shoes. Shiryu took the opportunity to sarcasm, and immediately looked at Miller and said, I heard that I was going to Zou Island? Miller nodded. Enel and Shiryu couldn't figure out why. Zou Island seemed to be incompetent, right? It's Robin. I told her there was a signpost history text on that island. Really, I shouldn't talk too much if I knew it, it hurts my head. Miller rubbed his head, deeply regretful. In order for Robin to cooperate obediently, Miller did not fail to expose the hiding place of the historical text. You can solve the trouble yourself. Enel snorted. Miller shook his neck suddenly, and the bones made a creaking sound. 3-day trip to the bottom of the sea or a 3-day trip to the volcano. Don't get excited. Just kidding. Enel suddenly shed a layer of cold sweat on his scalp. Miller's words didn't fool him. Half a day later, Miller and his party set off, and the entire fleet left Dressrosa in mighty force. Soon after Miller left, Dressrosa announced her separation from the world government. The world government has one less member. During this period of time, the people in the sea were panicking, and the Revolutionary Army and the Miller Pirates teamed up, causing the countries that joined the world government to be on pins and needles. No one knows when the coalition forces will come to the door. Because of this, Akainu has been scolded in recent times. The Revolutionary Army and the Miller Pirates overthrew a franchise country. 5 elders of the world government would call Akainu angrily. The Marshal Marine who had not been in office for a long time was sprayed with doubts about his life. The key is not to talk back. After losing the battle, what is the right to make irresponsible remarks? North Blue, there are a lot of strong people going out in this sea area. Powerful pirates such as Luo, Hawkins, Drake, Donquixote family, etc. are all North Blue going out. In Marine, there are many strong players from North Blue. For example, the current Marine Marshal Akainu and Kizaru are from North Blue. This is a sea area where there is never a shortage of strong people, whether before or now. In such a strong sea, there was a super family that unified North Blue in the past, Vinsmoke family. Although it is a short-lived, the unification of North Blue in the past is also historical. In a certain sea area of North Blue, the wind is whistling, the sky is blizzard, and several battleships are spliced together to form a super battleship, which is like a moving island, extremely huge. The word 66 can be seen faintly on the swaying sails. The Germa family has no fixed territory. When several battleships are joined together, it is their territory. The current leader of the Germa family is Vinsmoke Judge. Over the years, he has been committed to restoring his former glory and trying to reunify North Blue. However, Germa's current power cannot do it. The so-called dreams are just extravagant hopes. But recently, Judge has found a shortcut. In the luxurious cabin on the battleship, members of the Germa family gathered together. Commander Vinsmoke Judge. The eldest daughter Vinsmoke Reiju. The eldest son Vinsmoke Iji. The second son Vinsmoke Niji. And the fourth son Vinsmoke Yuji. Of course, there is another person who was unexpected. When Miller Saboti Archipelago shot Straw Hat Crew, he didn't know where he shot these guys. Luffy photographed the Revolutionary Army's territory. Usopp sent it to Hydra Island, but was destroyed. Next is Sanji. He was photographed and flew to North Blue, the sea where he was born. The worst thing is that even after returning to North Blue, Sanji was captured back to the Vinsmoke family. Judge's other sons are all sitting with a leisurely look, but Sanji is the only one who is tied up for fear that he will run away again. It would be great for you to come back, Sanji. Judge showed joy on his face. If you and Big Mom are married, they will definitely support the family unity of North Blue. I reject. Sanji's bones were very hard, and he responded very stubbornly. You have no choice. Ig sneered. Really, if I have to refuse? Sanji retorted. I want to go back to find my partner. As for the marriage with that Big Mom pirate group, whoever you like to send, it has nothing to do with me. Also, seeing you were just right, I just want to tell you a word from then on. I have no relationship with the Vinsmoke family at all. Sanji said coldly, he only hates this family, he suffered too much during his childhood, this is an extremely cold-blooded and cruel family. Quote. Judge frowned. Actually, he has a second strategy all the time. Using Sanji to marry Big Mom is only option 1. Looking at Reiju secretly, Judge's eyes flashed with a different color. Option 2 is to marry Reiju to Miller and get help from the Miller pirates. If Sanji is not found, Judge planned to use Reiju's beauty to seduce Miller. But the Heaven didn't seem to abandon the Vinsmoke family, and he found the trash son Sanji again. That's right, in Judge's eyes, Sanji is a trash and nothing good. Compared with the other sons, Sanji is simply scum. Both the older sisters and older brothers succeeded in their transformation, but Sanji failed. Judge was extremely disappointed with this son. Therefore, if Reiju and Sanji choose one, Judge will definitely sacrifice Sanji, which is worthless, spicy chicken. If Miller knew that Reiju was gone because he flew Sanji, he would probably weep bitterly, right? Remember, you have the blood of the Vinsmoke family. Even if you don't admit it, or even part ways with your family, your bloodline cannot be changed. Unless you die. Judge is like a machine, without emotion. Lock up Sanji for me, you take turns to take care of it. At Judge's order, the clones took Sanji to prison. Time passed quickly, and it was late at night in a blink of an eye. On the prison ship of the Vinsmoke family, Sanji was held in the strongest cell. Without the key, he could not escape. Damn it. Sanji landed on the reinforced steel plate without any traces. The science and technology of the Vinsmoke family is unimaginable. If you delay this way, it will really send me to the Big Mom pirate group to marry me. Sanji slumped on the ground. The so-called father had no feelings for him, and he did what he said. Sanji didn't want to fall victim to family interests. Step on. In the corridor, there was a crisp sound of steps. Sanji looked up and saw a familiar and beautiful face. Beautiful lips, delicate cheeks, spray-like pink hair, and butterfly-like wings on the back, looks like a flower fairy. Lei. Ju. After a long time, Sanji dully called out 2 obscure words. He disliked anyone in the Vinsmoke family, except for one person, Reiju. After Sanji was imprisoned, Reiju released him. Otherwise, Sanji might have been tortured to death. I haven't seen each other for many years, Sanji. Reiju lay on the railing of the prison, and after observing for a while, he said, when I grow taller, I also become handsome. Only one thing remains the same forever. It's still as naughty as before. Reiju smiled on her pretty face, pretending to be angry, and asked with her arms akimbo. Should you call my sister? You are not allowed to call my name directly. Sanji shook his head when he heard the words and sighed. It's this time, do you still care about these things? Why, this is desperate. Didn't you keep saying that you were going to find your own companion? How long did you give up after this? Reiju stuck his tongue out. My sister misunderstood you. I always thought you were strong. Man. I can't escape. Sanji looked upset and said distraughtly, everyone still. His eyes froze suddenly, because Reiju took out a golden key from Kabuto pants. Are you going to let me go? Sanji is extremely complicated. It was Reiju who let go of herself. Is it still her now? Sanji looked at Reiju, feeling very ashamed. This elder sister has paid too much for him and even risked exposure. I am afraid that she will have no return in this life. I'm leaving. Those guys won't spare you, Reiju. Sanji lowered his head. Haha. Reiju raised his lips and pursed his lips and smiled. I have found an excuse. Sanji is not the coward of the past. I said you held me hostage, and my father would at best scold me. The corners of Sanji's eyes were a little moist, and the clenched fists loosened again. Reiju also started to act, picking up the key to open the large lock with special characteristics. You saved me again. Sanji said solemnly, thank you. How do you talk to your sister? Reiju grabbed Sanji's ear angrily, and reprimanded, thank you to my sister? Okay. Go quickly, go find your partner. Sanji took a deep look at Reiju and left. Wait. Knock me out first, or how can I explain to my father? Reiju stopped Sanji again. Let me hit a woman. Sanji's face was a little embarrassed, but he believed in the spirit of chivalry. Face a woman should be a gentleman, can't do it. Besides, this one just saved his sister. Idiot, it's not like letting you make multiple hands, just knock me out, just acting. Reiju flipped over Byakugan. Then. Sorry, sister. Sanji lightly dropped his handknife, and Reiju fainted suddenly. Sanji took the opportunity to drive away. A few hours later, in a big bright and spacious house. As soon as Reiju opened his eyes, her younger brothers came into view. Of course, there is also the old-fashioned father. Father, I'm sorry, Sanji gave me. Huh. Reiju was shocked. She was shocked to find that she was bound by chains. What do you mean? Reiju panicked. Just because I was attacked by Sanji, I was locked up and punished. Are you still acting now, stupid woman? The eldest son, IJI, had no pity for this sister, snapped his fingers, and a scene of Sanji and Reiju whispering to each other appeared on the main control screen on the right. Reiju's heart was suddenly desperate. It's so great, Reiju. As a father, Judge said coldly, it's stupid to give up the hope of the rise of the family for the sake of a mere rubbish. Is Sanji that important to you? Sanji is my younger brother. How can I bear to watch him suffer? Please forgive me. Reiju bit her thin lip. Now, she has nothing to hide. I can understand. Judge said faintly, in this case, I declare the plan of marrying Big Mom to be invalid. Really? Reiju was overjoyed, but unexpectedly, Judge's next sentence directly sent her to hell. Reiju. You like being a saint so much, so let the great you marry the Miller pirates. Don't you like saving people? It doesn't matter if you sacrifice yourself now and help the family rise, right? Judge's voice was dark, like a father, like a ghost. In his eyes, there is only the Vinsmoke family, and the children are just pawns to use. Because of the relationship of transforming people, the family relationship in their blood is too weak, almost negligible. In a certain area of Dahaishan, a supergiant elephant is walking slowly on the surface of the sea. His limbs are walking in the deep sea, his body is in the sky, and a certain country is supported on his back. Bai Yun slowly passed by his side. How shocking the picture looked. Above the clouds, a spaceship followed the Elephant Master. This monster is really big. Miller was condescending, staring at the Elephant Master walking on the ocean. Who would have thought that the body of an elephant could hold up a country? And like the Lord has been walking for hundreds of years. Let's land. Miller gave the order, and the spacecraft flew towards the country on the back. The country supported by the elephant is called the Furry Principality, and the country has two kings, Inu Lan and Cat Viper. Both of them have great strength. They were members of the 9 Heroes of the Scarlet Squirrel, and they had both boarded Roger's ship. The Ark's proverbs were huge, and Miller didn't mean to conceal it, so he landed directly. At the moment of landing, the surrounding area was full of combat members of the Fur tribe. The country on this island is extremely xenophobic and has no good feelings for humans, because the Fur tribe's black market can sell 700,000 Baileys for a sky-high price, and many smugglers have focused on their fur, and tragedies often happen. Over time, there will be disgust and hatred towards humans. Get out, humans. You are not welcome here. Just catch and kill them. Before Miller and the others jumped off the spaceship, there were angry shouts from all around. Miller jumped and landed first, followed by Shiryu and Enel. It looks like we are surrounded. Shiryu looked around, and there were more than hundreds of fur people around. It's going to kill you. Enel was full of electric current, and his eyes were full of hostility. Shut up. A completely different voice came from the Fur tribe's camp, as if their boss came, and the rest of them stopped speaking and took the initiative to leave the road. Miller looked around where the sound originated, and the two of them appeared in sight. One of them is tall, wearing clothes belonging to a nobleman, wearing a long sword around his waist, and sunglasses on his face, but his head is a canine creature. This person is Inuarashi, one of the kings of the furry principality. There was another person next to him. The face was shaggy, full of fangs, with a pipe in his mouth, very lush facial hair, and a tail behind the ass drum. He is a cat viper. Unexpectedly, the overlord of New World 4 emperors would come to Zuo. Inu Lan and Cat Viper are obviously more knowledgeable, and they at least understand the identity of Miller and his gang. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight you, Miller whispered. I know there is a piece of road sign history text here, and my subordinates are here to interpret the above content. Hearing that, Inu Lan and Cat Viper's heart sank, and the historical text is what the 4 emperors are chasing. In particular, the historical text of the road signs is more important, which is an important indicator to Raftel. There are a total of 4 pieces of historical text of road signs in the world, one of which is on Zou Island, and the other 2 are on Anti and Kaido. Another piece is missing. I have no interest in One Piece, but my subordinates are too curious. She is a historian and has to understand what happened in the past. As for me, I'm another man who can't stand sugar-coated cannonballs. After a little temptation, I brought her here. Miller rubbed his nose, a little helpless on his face, hurting his head. What if we refuse? The more aggressive cat and snake asked coldly. Refuse? Shiryu sneered, and the thunderstorm burst out in an instant. He raised the long knife in his hand. Then it depends on how hard your head is. Again, I'm not here to go to war, and the historical text of the road signs will not be taken away. Just let Robin interpret the above content. The furry principality has to look for troublesome words. Miller's eyes gradually became cold. I have more time anyway, so I might as well turn this place upside down. You know the strength of the 4 emperors. The combatants of the furry principality are not enough to stuff your teeth, Miller added. War is war. Who is afraid of you? The violent cat viper firmly held the trident in his hand. Shut up, you stupid cat, we and each other are not on the same level. Inu Lan scolded angrily. However, it was this simple sentence that instantly ignited the cat viper. The 2 of them had never been in harmony. They were fighting as soon as they met. It was Miller who was there before the war. Are you stupid dog going to the enemy? I'll kill you now. The cat viper's trident aimed at Inu Arashi's head. What's the matter, we're infighting before we start. Enel was speechless. I looked at them highly. Shiryu's thunderstorm retracted the scabbard. I'll give you 5 minutes to think about it. If it exceeds this time, I will order an attack. At that time. If the war starts, the dead are too normal. Miller warned. The faces of Cat Viper and Inu Lan are not very good looking, especially Cat Viper, whose face is red with anger. What's wrong with 4 emperors? Kaido is also 4 emperors, he was almost killed by Lord Odin before. Cat Viper was very unconvinced. That's Lord Odin, we don't have the strength of Lord Odin. In a very realistic reminder, Inu Lan, at the critical moment of life and death, their contradictions must be suppressed. Stupid cat, I tell you, we can't stop 4 emperors Miller with our strength. Is that why you surrendered? Cat Viper sneered. We and the Miller pirate group are not enemies, so how can we surrender to the enemy? You idiot, pay attention. Inu Lan yelled anxiously, and it was too difficult to communicate with this stupid cat. Cat Viper was silent. Indeed, their furry principality has no conflict of interest with Miller. And he knew in his heart that once the war started, Miller could just watch the battle, and his men were enough to destroy the furry principality. Don't forget, this guy did a big thing before, maybe. Our opportunity is here. Inu Lan's eyes were bright. As one of the 9 heroes, they had always had a dream: defeat Kaido and retake Wano Kuni. Didn't Miller just kill Jack? He looks like he is on the opposite side of Kaido. Since we have the same enemy, why can't we cooperate? Use the power of the Miller pirates to deal with Kaido? Cat Viper's heart also flashed. Counting on these remnants of their defeat, it is estimated that they will not be able to set foot in Wano Kuni for the rest of their lives. Kaido and its cadres, together with Wanakuna's Orochi gang, are so powerful that they are suffocating. Stupid cat, it's cooperation, not use. Inu Lan corrected him. The other party is the 4 emperors of New World, who are on the same level as Kaido. Isn't he using them to find death? Even Kaido didn't dare to provoke him. Jack was killed, and the whole world was rioting, but Wano Kuni didn't move at all. If this was before, Kaido would have led Beast's pirates to kill him for revenge. Then try it. Cat Viper thought about going and agreed with Inuarashi's countermeasures. The 2 people who have been fighting for many years rarely agree. We agree to your proposal. The historical text of the road signs can be handed over to you for interpretation, and Inu Lan cleared his throat and said loudly, when the Beast's pirates and the Miller pirates fight in the future, the furry principality is willing to help. Ha ha ha. This is the best thing. Kaido is also my enemy. Miller agreed with a smile. As a traverser, he also knew the grievances between the Chisao 9 heroes and Beast's pirates. After half an hour, Inuarashi and Cat Viper took Robin and his group somewhere. Stored here is a red stone, with dense historical texts recorded on it. This is the first time I have seen the red historical text. Robin scrubbed the stone lightly, beautiful eyes lost. The text of the road sign history is only 4 yuan in the whole world, it is really rare. Inu Lan explained. I hope you abide by the agreement. Cat Viper was wary, he was afraid that Miller was robbing the historical text like Kaido and Ant. Don't worry, I can assure you that Miller has no interest in One Piece. I strongly requested to come here. Robin smiled bitterly. Who doesn't know Miller's dream women and power? One Piece was a false name in his eyes, and he wanted to overthrow the world government because 5 elders couldn't get along with him, and the conflict between the two parties was too deep. Ruling is a troublesome thing in Miller's eyes, he is not very interested. Anyway, I can see that Miller is indeed different from Auntie and Kaido. Inu Lan glanced, and there were no Miller pirates around. Robin came alone with a few guards, it's so boring. Miller lay comfortably on the Arc Proverbs to rest. He had planned to find some fur girls to cheer. But well. Either it's a rabbit face, or a dog face, or even a cat face, Miller's mother can't handle it. Boss. Why don't we go around the island? Let's relax. Bartolomeo came up and suggested. Also. Miller jumped off the spaceship and immediately blew a whistle. Bang bang bang. The earth trembled violently, and a strong dinosaur rushed from not far away. Miller jumped up skillfully. F*K, Drake. Miller pointed to the depths of the primitive jungle and shouted. Drake rushed out with a depressed look when he heard the words, and disappeared into everyone's eyes. Drake is very poor. Akainu made him not allowed to be a mount. Marine Rear Admiral is too embarrassing to be a pirate's mount. In fact, Drake also thinks, as Akainu said, being a messenger is better than being a Miller's mount. But the bastard Miller disagrees. What can Drake do? Snapped. Miller didn't know where he drew a whip, whipped up Drake's ass, and yelled, driving. Boss. You don't need to fight, I am not a horse. Drake turned his head back and said pitifully. Stop talking nonsense, snap. As he talked, Miller drew another whip to Drake's ass drum. Lousy hasn't rode a horse yet. What's the matter with you as a horse for me to ride? Anyway, it's all mounts, is there a difference? Flap. Pop. Pop. Drive, drive, drive. Call, call, call. Drake was furiously suspicious of his life. At this moment, he drew dozens of whips. Although he said he was rough and skinny and could not feel the pain, he seriously doubted whether his identity had been exposed. Otherwise, how could Miller violate himself like this? Luo, who is also a supernova, is totally different from him, and he is deeply trusted by Miller. The two moved away, and Miller rode Drake through the furry principality for a long time before stopping. About an hour later, Robin finally came back, and her interpretation of the historical text of the road sign has been completed. The Miller pirates are about to attack Wano-kuni one day, and the furs must help. Inu Lan handed the gray phone bug to Miller, which he would use to contact them in the future. I won't forget you at that time. You have a good fighting capacity. Remember, this day will not be too long, so be prepared. Miller picked up the phone bug and rode Drake onto the spaceship. Huh. The Ark's Proverbs drew a burst of blue light in the sky, disappearing without a trace in a few breaths. In a certain area of North Blue, the battleship of the Vinsmoke family and the mysterious battleship met. The other side's sail has the words Big Mom on it. I'm sorry, our marriage plan may end here. In the luxurious cabin of the Vinsmoke family, Judge rejected the Big Mom pirates in person. After catching Sanji, Judge immediately contacted the aunt, saying that she had plans to marry her. The aunt was very happy. She was enthusiastic about the science and technology of the Vinsmoke family, and naturally agreed. 2 days later, it happened to be the birthday of the aunt, so the aunt sent someone to invite the son-in-law, Sanji. The team was led by Baron Dandan and Pokmas. It was originally a happy event. Who knew that these two people had come? They heard the answer that made them go crazy. That's it. Are you farting, Judge? You said it's the end of it? Bach Mouston was on fire, and he spouted at Judge. What do you think of the Big Mom pirate group? Where did you put the face of the Charlotte family? Retirement? You are not enough for 100 lives. Kill. This is also helpless. Sanji ran away. Judge said helplessly. HMPH, that's fine, you have 3 sons, said Baron Dandan. They absolutely can't. Judge shook his head and refused. He had already decided in his heart that Reiju, who had let Sanji go away, would marry Miller. It was Sanji who was let go by her Reiju, and she had to pay for it. So, is the Vinsmoke family going to fight the Big Mom pirates? The coldness of their pupils condensed, and both fists covered armament hockey. We have no intention to go to war. Judge said with an ugly expression. I can't help but to cancel the marriage plan passively after Sanji ran away. I hope the Big Mom pirates can understand. Understanding what a fart. This is equivalent to starting a war. Mom will never bypass the Vinsmoke family. Baron Dandan and Pockelmus looked at each other. Grab him. The two swooped down, and Judge didn't expect such a change at all. After half a day, Miller returned to Dressrosa. Not long after Miller came back, and when he was about to find a bar, Violet came to his door. Now that the Liku royal family has been restored, her princess status has also been restored. Violet is wearing an elegant long dress and a silver crown on her head. Although his identity was restored, seeing Miller was as humble and respectful as ever. Master Miller, I have something to discuss with you. There is big news from North Blue. Violet said straightforwardly. The Vinsmoke family has a conflict with the Big Mom pirate group. Is it our business? That's North Blue, and I can't beat it. The Vinsmoke family. Hee. Miller shook his head, and he thought of the beauty with long pink hair Reiju. It used to be unrelated, but now it's different. Violet explained. The Vinsmoke family contacted Dressrosa before, and it happened that Lord Miller went to Zhao Island. Look for me? What's the matter? Miller came interested. They are willing to marry the eldest daughter Vinsmoke Reiju, and hope that the two forces will advance and retreat together in the future. Violet's words made Miller heartbroken. Reiju, he naturally understands, a very beautiful and sexy big sister. Have you agreed? Miller asked blankly. This is your business, I am not qualified to decide. Violet smiled bitterly. Really, next time you encounter this kind of thing, for all beautiful women, you can help my uncle to agree, understand? Miller reminded. It's not too bad to miss, Reiju also has a good fighting capacity. But speaking of it, how did Judge think of me? Miller touched his chin and thought. It's like this. Violet elaborated on the troubles of the Vinsmoke family in the conflict between the Big Mom pirates. After a while, Miller curled his lips. Judge, the old slicker, obviously wants to use me to fight against the Big Mom pirates, including the unified North Blue. Then what are your plans? Violet asked. Would you like to refuse? No need. Miller shook his head and said faintly, I and the Big Mom pirate group had a grudge. The aunt's son Cracker was killed by me. The old woman didn't move for the time being. Killed Dressrosa. As for the unification of North Blue, look at the attitude of the old guy. If he becomes my dog, obediently in the future, it will be no problem for him to complete it. Agree to Judge's request and tell him that my uncle must see Reiju first. I will contact the Vinsmoke family immediately. Miller agreed, and Violet quickly got up and left. North Blue Vinsmoke family. Ha ha ha, great, Miller guy agreed. In the super battleship on the sea, Judge and his sons started a party to celebrate. With the support of the Miller pirates, why worry that North Blue can't be unified? The threat from the Big Mom pirate group, Judge doesn't have to worry about it. Whether it's naval headquarters or other 4 emperors, if the opponent is Miller, they should focus on weighing, otherwise they might just send warmth. IG, you immediately find someone to send me Reiju to Dressrosa, remember to hurry. Judge preached cautiously. Don't make any mistakes, that guy is very difficult to take care of. I will personally escort this time. IG nodded, confident. The Vinsmoke family moved quickly, and after only one night, they arrived at New World. Although there is no fixed territory, Vinsmoke can participate in the World Summit and even has the right to cross the Red Line like Marine. By noon the next day, the battleship of the Vinsmoke family arrived at Dressrosa. Reiju got off the boat too, but she was all tied up with chains, and her expression was very haggard and pale, and she felt like she had been abused. Presumptuous. How do you idiots treat her, it's so bold. After seeing Reiju, Miller personally loosened her chain and said formally, Reiju, welcome to Dressrosa. Thanks. Hearing that, Reiju barely smiled on her face, and she looked at Dressrosa in a daze, feeling very uncomfortable in her heart. Was he abandoned by the family like this? Ms. Reiju doesn't look very comfortable. Robin, take Reiju back to rest. With Robin's support, Miller and his party returned to the palace in a mighty manner. As for IJI who came with the ship, Miller didn't even look at it. He knew what the family was like. Will this guy really help the Vinsmoke family unify North Blue? IG was a little skeptical, but for some reason, he felt that Miller seemed to hate Vinsmoke in his bones. At noon, Miller specially invited Reiju to a banquet, and all the cadres of the Miller pirate group attended, which made her a little flattered. Speaking of it, she is just a pawn abandoned by the family. If Miller wants to squeeze any value out of her, it would be a big mistake. Master Miller, you saw it when you came. My family has abandoned me. If you want anything from me, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Reiju, who was sitting next to Miller, was very nervous. Ha ha ha, think more, Reiju. Miller patted Reiju on the shoulder. The Vinsmoke family is really good, but unfortunately I can't use it. Jinshan Yinshan is not as good as you. After speaking, Miller looked at Reiju with two big eyes, and the latter moved her beautiful eyes awkwardly. Miller's eyes were aggressive, as if they were stripped naked in front of him.